Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome to the midpoint of Volume 1 of Andake Anthologies, Episode 4 of the Hounds of Mercy, the Duchess. I am your GM and producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Itch, Patreon, and Twitter at ByConnieChang. That's ByConniechang. And I'm going to pass along introductions to Dare.
Hi, I'm Dare. You can find me on Twitter and TikTok at NBDare, ENBYDARE. I've just been arguing with fans of certain D&D franchises, so I'm doing great. That's it for me.
All right, let's go to Humna.
Hello, everyone. My name is Humna. I use any and all pronouns, and I'm a TTRPG performer. You can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all of the different projects that I'm a part of. And today I'm ready for Duran's Hot Girl Summer. That's starting right now. And I will pass it on to Quinn.
Hello, I'm Quinn. I use she, other way around, they, she pronouns. New pronouns just dropped. Now I've been thrown off my rhythm. Takes two. I'm Quinn. Hi, hello. I use they, she pronouns. I write games and do things and am gay. Today I'll be playing Sitlali, who also uses they, she pronouns. Back to you, Connie.
Thanks so much. Before I even get into a spiel, we're at $250 out of $200 for our donos, which, if you don't know, means that there's going to be a massive lore drop and means we overrun the clock and we go back to the beginning of incentives. So at every 25, 50, 75, and $100, a random PC gets an additional point of personal inspiration. At 125, we unlock collective inspiration. At 150, we unlock an auto crit that anyone can use at any time at the table, including myself as the GM. And at the next 200, right, we are going to get another huge lore drop. So some bastard just donated enough to make it $269.69, which means that 2 random PCs are going to get collective inspiration. I'm going to roll for it. So pick a number between 1 and 3, the 3 of y'all. And if it lands on 4, then I get it. Okay. It is a 3. So you're already full up though, Sitlali. So that one is wasted, unfortunately, is what that means. So it's going to be between Duran, Gentle, and myself. 1 and 2. That's a 2. So it's going to be Gentle. Gentle gets another point of inspiration. Duran is left out of the cold. If you want to help out... You dare question the validity of this?
For Aquariuses. I can't help it.
That is disgusting, Dare. I'm going to take your inspiration away. Just kidding. So the next time we hit 75, so if we get from 69 to 275, then Duran will be guaranteed a point of inspiration. Almost certainly. With that out of the way, I'm going to get right into the proper order of announcements. If you don't know what this is, thank you for tuning in. Andake Anthologies is a multi-part miniseries that runs alongside our main D&D campaign here at Transplanar RPG, which is, of course, an all-transgender, people of color-led, 100% homebrew, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition live-streamed actual play campaign set in an original non-colonial, anti-orientalist world GM'd by myself for both this miniseries and the main campaign. And Volume 1 of Andake Anthologies is this shindig right here. Hounds of Mercy versus Mercy's 7 evil exes in all of Andake. If you don't know who Mercy is, look at the bottom left corner of the screen at that hot, non-binary, butch lesbian, half-orc. That's Mercy. The Hounds of Mercy are a very gay monster hunting group traveling Andake in the wake of the Cataclysm to bust some baddies, including their fearless leaders, terrible exes. We stream Tuesdays starting at 7 p.m. US Central Time. This is the midpoint, which means we have 4 episodes left after this, so thank you to everyone who's been loyally tuning in. We love you in chat. Thanks for tuning into the misadventures of our queer disasters. All donations we do collect for this miniseries will be split evenly between the cast and crew of Hounds, 50%, and the other 50% is going to go to Camp McGeezy, which is an indigenous two-spirit-led collective of mostly queer anarchists who stand for indigenous rights and BIPOC solidarity. The folks behind Camp McGeezy are major leaders in the Stop Line 3 movement right here in Minneapolis, which is where Transplanar RPG's main campaign is headquartered. So this means a lot to us personally. So thank you to everyone who's donated. Your funds are going to a really great place. And announcements for our main campaign. Arc 4, Episode 4 of our main campaign airs this Saturday, October 9th at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. You can access our main campaign recap document by using ! Recap in chat. Listen to our podcast, which drops Tuesdays early in the morning. We missed this past Tuesday, which was today, unfortunately, because I've just been so busy. But it will be out by next Tuesday at the latest. We might just be taking a week off. We appreciate your patience in that manner. As well as you can watch past full-length VODs on YouTube at Transplanar RPG and pledge to our Patreon. Use ! Patreon in chat for more details. And now, let's get to what you're here for. The Hounds. Quick recap for those who are just tuning in after a break in your scheduled programming. What happened last episode was this. The Hounds wake up in Kirtal after a eventful evening in which Mercy sleeps with her ex, Selim. Jiran sleeps with Sitlali, who was shapeshifted into Oka, who's Jiran's ex, and Gentle minds their own business. Meanwhile, the Hounds tersely reach Dabathati, the capital of the Republic of Talmud, where they meet Ravi, another ex, and learn about the rage that Oka and their crew recently stopped. Jiran realizes, puts two and two together. Is Oka the paragon of Sen? And now, moving into content warnings for this episode. Oh, by the way, use ! Recap for a recap of that if you missed it. Content warnings for the Hounds in general, and this episode in particular, may include fantasy violence, monsters and body horror, blood and bloodletting, addiction and substance use, romance and flirting acted out on screen, references to romantic and sexual entanglements, toxic relationships, shitty people, our favorite content warning, environmental disasters, refugees and displacement, and apocalyptic events. So use ! CW at any time in chat to get a full list of our content warnings for this episode. Now let's get right into it. Need a sip from my Transplanar branded mug here that you can access using ! Merch in chat. And let us proceed. Mist. Cold, wet, dense, rolls across the black tongue, blanketing the river in heavy layers of fog. Tangled roots of mangrove, thick trunks of cypress, and crooked fingers of gray maple dominate the swamp, their blackened silhouettes blotting out the early morning light. Green scum thickens the surface of the water. All around you is the pungent, earthy smell of decay, the trilling of crickets, the croaking of bullfrogs. A ripple slices the water, then the prow of a covered boat cuts through the scum. Jiran, Gentle, and Sitlali, the three of you are seated inside this raft. Mercy stands at the stern, driving the boat with a single long oar alternating sides. The four of you reached the Court of Ravens a number of days ago, following Unmei's water as well as Ravi's revelation. A question now hangs between you, heavier than the fog that surrounds you. Is Oka the paragon of Sen? There's another problem too. As soon as the three of you crossed into the court, leaving the rugged red rock of the Badlands behind, you encountered rumors. Scared whispers, terrified looks, muttered prayers, hushed talk of a phenomenon the locals call the Profane Undeath. Ever since the cataclysm, the people of the court have been unable to die. To make things worse, people have been taking advantage of the undeath. You've also heard news of a group of Nabalians organizing a so-called derelict death derby, a no-holds-barred race down the Black Tongue, across the boundary waters to the south, and through the dangerous Raven's Eye whirlpool. The winner is guaranteed an audience with Atalanta, the champion of Nabal. As all of this roils around in your mind, Mercy navigates the boat around a jagged cluster of cypress and knees, and she slaps a dragonfly out of her face. The bug whirls through the air and hits the water. Ah, blessed bugs. And that's about when another raft passes yours, perhaps 30 feet away, its 4 passengers obscured by heady mist. Mercy's brow crinkles. The hand on her oar stalls for just a heartbeat. I mean, you've passed plenty of other boats already at this point in your journey, but something about this one calls to her. Her one good eye settles on the massive silhouette driving the other raft. Even from this distance, they have to be at least 7 feet tall, maybe 8 feet. But their features are impossible to make out. Then the mist thickens, and the other raft vanishes. Mercy shrugs. She turns back to the water and continues paddling south toward Blackspire, the obsidian castle, and the seat of power in the Court of Ravens where the 4 of you are almost certainly guaranteed answers. Though, speaking of the 4 of you, Duran, Gentle, and Sitlali, why don't we take some time now for you all to tell me what you've been up to during this entire travel sequence to the court and now on the Black Tongue, and what you're doing now in the boat. Let's start with Duran.
I think during all of this time on the boat, Duran has, I think, made it a point to avoid Sitlali in particular. I think they've been spending quite a lot of time with Gentle. Throughout all of this mess since the Cataclysm, I think Duran has been neglecting his friendship with Gentle a little bit, and so he has come to realize that and has come to feel a little bit bad about that. And so they have made it a point to spend a lot of time with Gentle and try to sort of, check in, see how Gentle's doing. And so I think right now, in this moment, as we're coming onto the courts, maybe John is on his way to go and talk to Gentle.
Okay, speaking of Gentle, I think we're gonna pan over, from Duran's maybe fretful brow. Maybe you've got how is this anxiety and worry coming through physically?
I think Duran's hands have been shaking a lot lately. It's been kind of difficult to wield weapons per se, which is not so great when your literal profession is a hunter and a monster hunter. So I think he's been sort of experiencing a little bit of hand tremors.
Okay, yeah, your hands are trembling a bit. Your brow is heavy as you turn to look at Gentle. What have you been up to during this entire sequence of travel, and what are you doing now in the boat?
I think I've been spending more and more time focusing on Bud, and probably just preparing as many little remedies and salves and things as I can. It gives me an excuse to just sort of get some space and work on that without saying a whole lot.
Okay. I think at this point, it's been a few weeks, I think, since we've last seen the hounds. Bud has been growing. All right. Bud is bigger now. I think they're almost at the stage where they won't fit in the baby Bjorn. The last few days, their front legs have been just sticking out, and they have no mobility because they're getting a bit chonky, and they're maybe as big as your torso, if not slightly bigger than it, but they're still considered a puppy by direwolf standards, right? And their face is starting to grow. Their ears are really big, but their face is starting to grow into it, and their little wet nose at the top of their snout is sniffing, and their eyes are flickering everywhere, and they're taking in the mist. As Mercy slaps the dragonfly down, they go Arf! And try to bark and snap at it, right? But they're still attached to your front, and as they lurch for it, I think it's with heft. They're packing on muscle now, right? They were the runt of the litter, but even the runt of a direwolf litter is pretty dang big for a wolf. What do you do?
I think it's time. I think it's time to let him walk. My baby's all grown up. Not all grown up, but he's getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him. Gonna let him just move at his own. I'm gonna let him move with me. We can start. You can start learning how to hunt, just a little.
Is it time to unstrap the baby Bjorn and let him roam free?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. So you unclip the baby Bjorn, and Bud falls right to the bottom of the boat and freezes. tail like erect, looking around, sniffing, has never had this amount of freedom before when it was not at a campsite, and looks for like a moment like not sure what to do with this like newfound independence, and then like they turn to look up at you and they sit and their tail slaps the ground, and they like look at you with these like big glimmering eyes, and they put paws on top of your torso to get uppies back into the Bjorn.
You're getting a little too big for it, buddy.
Arf!
I'm promise it's not gonna fit as well as you think it is. We can work on getting you like some sort of like coat that feels like the Bjorn, but it's getting too big.
Bud's tail angrily slaps around on the boat and hits Sitlali in the thigh, I think. So now we're going to transition over to Sitlali. Why don't you tell us what you've been up to during this travel sequence and what you're now doing in the boat?
So I think since they started heading towards the court, the color has slowly bled out of Sitlali. It started with the hair, and then the rest of their features kind of matched, and the hair got shorter, and their eyes were the last to go. Normally they're that bright pink inside the black scleras, and I think they too finally go like this, not quite black, but like a deep gray. So eventually you have like this monochrome version of them that none of you have ever seen before, and they are a changeling who likes to change quite a bit. And you can safely assume that this might be closer to what they looked like when they lived at the court. Yeah. And if Mercy's like had any free time ever, they've probably been engaging in extracurriculars, it's safe to say. But casually, no big thing. I'm second in command, deal with that.
Oh my god. Okay. I still don't know if Mercy's officially named anyone the second in command yet, but you have certainly been engaged in continuous extracurricular activities with the leader of your group. Yes, you have. Okay. So I think on Bud's tail, like slapping this different looking Sitlali, right? With like pure white hair that's shorter, like the eyes are different, like some of like, the coloring on your armor looks different even. We're gonna pan up to Mercy, who continues to row this boat. Listen, it's not our job, it's not our business to stick our noses in this undeath and this derby. You got it?
I mean, it sounds interesting, not gonna lie.
I'm not going to forbid you from talking about it, but we don't have time to pick up another mission.
Can we help on the way?
There's people in need everywhere. I'm going to assume that the Dexai of the courts know what they're doing and are investigating the situation, if not immediately taking care of it.
If the Dexai are anything like I remember them, they're not.
And how long ago do you remember the Dexai?
How long ago do you remember the Dexai?
Long enough.
Which one did you sleep with?
Excuse me?
You have exes in every single nation, Mercy. Which one did you sleep with? Do I know them?
It doesn't matter, all right?
It usually does.
What matters is I have a friendly, I know, surprising, but I promise, friendly contact at Blackspire, all right? And I don't need you all bringing your judgy faces and your assumptive noses into this negotiation, understand? So no, I won't tell you which one I've slept with. Because it doesn't matter.
Is it more than one person?
What? No, okay? I can tell you that much. It was not more than one person.
Do we need to do this here? Right now?
Thank you, Jiran.
Where else would we do it, Jiran?
Do you really want me to answer that question?
Woof?
Thank you, bud.
Arf.
I think we should get Bud a coat. He's getting bigger. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we could probably go find some nice pelts for Bud. Not wolf pelts, obviously. That's weird.
I mean, it doesn't have to be any like necessarily fur. Just something that makes him feel comfortable and also maybe helps him in the rain.
How are bird feathers in the rain? And I
Depends
think
on the
Jaron
kind-
is asking Sidlali.
Quinn doesn't know the answer to that, but Sidlali certainly would.
I can tell you what Silali would know. Specifically in the Court of Ravens, there's a lot of like bird feather armor. And the feathers are either like enchanted or like treated with a special like poultice that gives them like resistance to water, makes them oily against water and blood and slashing and piercing and bludgeoning damage, right? Usually a combination of both like magical and mundane means.
Sidlali says all of that sounding very bored.
Yes. Okay, gentle. Hear me out. I know you said no last time. But battle dog.
He's still young. I'm gonna start teaching him the basics of hunting, but I worry about him.
Well, what are you worried about?
I think I just sort of go blank for a second, thinking about how I came to be Bud's parent in the first place. It's fine.
Are you sure?
It's fine. I'm doing okay.
I think Jaron like takes a hand and like gently pats Gentle on the back. We don't have to do the battle dog thing if you don't want to. I just think a dog in armor is kind of cool.
I think for now, I like the idea of him helping people. And if battle is the best way for him to do it, that works. But also scouting, tracking, just basic hunting, he doesn't necessarily have to get into the thick of it.
Defensive armor. Not to attack, but to protect Bud.
Now that I can agree on.
I just really want to get Bud some armor.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so it's settled then. When we get to the courts, Mercy, we need to find some dog armor.
You got dog armor money?
I mean, have you been paying us properly?
I provide lodging, I provide room and board, which is why the cut of gold I've been giving you recently has been rather diminished.
I think we may need to go back to the bargaining table.
We're here. And Mercy guides your boat up a western tributary, right? Leaving this main vein of the Black Tongue behind. And here the river thins, and the banks on either side press closer and closer like a lover's embrace. And you see hanging leaves of willow trees dangling above your heads, caressing the tarp of your boat. You even see settlements starting to pop up as you start to travel down this tributary. Built into the nature around you, jungle homes, carved from bark, half-sunken towns, hamlets, nestled in the shade of massive growing mushrooms even. And eventually, these willows part, and the swamp ends at the bottom of a massive hill, this giant slope. A mile easily of gray dirt, craggy grass, and mist-slick rock paints the side of this slope all the way up to Blackspire, the capital of the Court of Ravens. At the peak of this slope, which is known as the Raven's Throat, a humble township clusters in front of the Obsidian Castle. The Obsidian Castle is the seat of power of Blackspire, where the Dexai of the courts meet to talk about important stuff. This castle juts into the sky, resembling black daggers stitched together by even blacker leather somehow, shot through with these twisting branches and vines and thorns. The Obsidian Castle is all sharp edges and looming solemnity, fog and thistle, darkness and thorn. It sits at the very edge of the Raven's Throat, overlooking the frigid Sigirni Sea well over 1,000 feet straight down into the plunging rocks below. The defining feature of the Obsidian Castle, which you can see from even a mile down, is the Tree of Death and Life. A massive, gnarled, weeping cypress tree over 100 feet tall, around which the entire castle is built. Legends from the court even say that the Tree of Death and Life was planted at the peak of the Raven's Throat back when Andake was first created. The roots of this tree are embedded into the cliff itself and extend all the way down to the Sigirni, where it drinks the brackish surf for nourishment. It's an ancient, ancient tree. And now we pan down from the Obsidian Castle, from the tree, from Blackspire itself, down this gray, dirted slope, back to the three of you. Mercy docks your boat at the edge of this swamp, one eye fixed on this castle a mile in the distance. She hops off the raft into this knee to thigh deep swamp murk, and she starts sloshing onto the marshy shore while tugging the boat along on a rope. Blackspire Peak. The Raven's Throat. There it is. Been a few years.
There it is. Is it still like you remember it?
Trust me. 10 years have changed nothing.
What is lonely feeling right now?
You can feel lonely thrumming inside your soul with a mixture of this like seething, ever-present, I think, clinginess. Like it's always holding on to you in some way. Even when you're alone, you're never truly alone with lonely. And also anticipation. It's excited for you to get in there and claim what's rightfully yours, I think.
Hell yeah.
Does Sitlali... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to
please.
ask, does Sitlali look... Like, is any of that internal excitement for what's about to happen, is that coming out in any way for Sitlali?
I think Sitlali has always talked shit about the court and avoided talking about the fact that they are from there when they can avoid it. So the fact that she looks ecstatic to be there is probably weird. But I think they are not trying to hide it. They are thrilled to be home for some reason.
I think in that case, Joanne is just going to elbow Gentle a little bit and just kind of whisper down. I just had imagined Gentle being shorter than Joanne. I don't actually know if that's true or not. Like 5'10".
Yes.
Okay. Then is just gonna kind of like whisper down. Do you think Sitlali's okay?
Let me also clarify. Gentle is taller, but Gentle slouches.
Valid.
This is the most excited I've ever seen them, I'll be honest.
I know, and that concerns me.
Yeah, I don't know if going home is good or bad for them, and maybe we should try to check in without poking too much, because they lash out a little.
Yeah, about that. I don't think I'm the person that should check in with them. Maybe if you could do it.
Maybe, yeah. I'll try. I keep trying. They're hard to crack.
Yeah. You're telling me.
I would like to point out to the GM that my passive perception is 23.
Yes, it is. Gentle and Drawn, are you trying to...
We're speaking in Morosi.
We can do that.
We're speaking
Oh
in
my
Morosi.
God.
You have no idea what we're saying.
Power move. So, Silali, you can make an insight check to see what they're whispering about through tonal inflection and like maybe how they're like sneaking glances at you if you would like.
To be fair, we did also use their name. So, like, I feel like that you can probably pick up.
30-20.
Yeah, they're definitely talking about you, but you have no idea what. You have no idea what the subject matter is, but it's about you.
I have ears.
That's nice.
They're quite good.
Do you know Morosi?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I know that they don't worry.
If you have something to say, you can say it to my face.
You're smiling a lot. I'm a little worried. You're home, and you never liked to talk about home.
Well, no, but I didn't have exciting news to bring home before.
You have exciting news? Why haven't you told us?
And I think they shoot a look at Mercy of like, I've said too much. Help?
It's just, there's something that Sitlali would like to confirm. That's all.
You're not planning on telling the courts about.
Huh? What? About what?
About what?
What are you talking about?
I need a little insight somewhere in all of this.
That's the news, right?
What news are you implying?
You know what? Never mind. You know what? Never mind. What is your news, Sitlali? What are you trying to confirm?
Isn't it more fun if it's a surprise?
No. We keep getting surprised. I would like one thing that's just honest and upfront.
Mercy gets to do all of the surprising, and I would like to do it for
It's not fun
once.
for us. We don't like it when she does that.
No, but I think I'm starting to see why she does it. It's kind of fun.
Yes, it is fun when they suck it up and just take it.
You'd know a lot about that, wouldn't you?
We're here.
I covered Bud's ears.
Bud, I think Bud is like trotting along next to you and is like not used to being out of the baby born, but has been looking between all of you as you've been talking and has been Gentle, you are suddenly struck with the horrifying suspicion that Bud understands every single word of what people are saying. Continues to trot along. I think at this point, this entire conversation has been happening while you've been like trudging up the slope. Like you sort of have been hiking, like the beads of water that are clinging to your armor and your clothes from the swamp are almost starting to like evaporate as the mist starts to give way, as the sunless light starts to really roll in and sear some of this dewy fog from the grass. At this point, the swamp below you is like a distant memory. You can see a tiny little toy boat version of the raft you left behind sort of floating in the surf, lashed to the knee of a nearby cypress tree. And now, as Mercy says, "We're here," she wipes like a thin layer of sweat from her brow as the four of you take in the township of Blackspire at the peak of this hill. All things considered, it's pretty small. Blackspire is the smallest capital of the 8 capitals in all of Andake. Like, it's even smaller than some, like, mid-sized towns of Talmud and the Championship and Jukai and stuff. There's probably only, like, 1,000 people who live here, right? And, like, the homes here are sort of, like, carved out of trees that grow at the peak of the Raven's Throat. Some of these trees are pretty dang big, but none of them are as big as the tree of death and life, like at the very back of the town. You see kids running around playing playground games with sticks they found in sort of like the forest floor that with a thin covering of leaves on the grassy earth beneath you. You see elders tending to gardens, tending to several rows of flowers and vegetation. You see adults and youth strolling amongst, the nature, the greenery. I think what strikes all of you is how interconnected with the natural world, even at the peak of the Raven's Throat, these people are. 50% of the activity here is probably spent like watering plants, trimming dead branches off, taking care of the moss and like the little animals and insects that nestle within the bark. And as the four of you crest, the top of the peak, and it sort of evens out here at the very summit, a couple of the people on the fringes of the township pause and turn to look at you. Like with interest, because you get the sense that not a lot of people visit Blackspire, not a lot of outsiders do, especially in the wake of the Cataclysm. What do you do?
I think Jiran is just gonna let Sitlali and like Mercy take the lead because they clearly have been here before and are very familiar with the scenery, with the people, etc. So I think, Jiran's just gonna kind of like take a step back and let them handle things.
Okay.
I walk in like I own the damn place.
Sitlali, question for you. Is this where you grew up? Did you grow up in Blackspire or did you move here?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you grow up in the Obsidian Castle or did you grow up in the township and later did like some training stuff in the castle?
I think most of their childhood, I think it might have been in the castle.
Okay.
Because she was like a protege, like of a certain someone. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. But your parents, I need to know. You decide. Did they live in the castle with you or did they live in the township?
The township.
Okay. And how similar would you say do you look to how you left a number of years ago?
This is exactly how I looked when I left, except, like aged, but I think not terribly. It's the same.
Okay. Thank you for telling me. As Sitlali leads your party like through like the main thoroughfare of this town, right? With these like the shade of like gnarled branches modeling your skin as you walk toward the Obsidian Castle. Those of you unaccustomed to Raven speech, that would be Gentle and Jiran, hear what sounds like the murmuring, the chittering of birds all of a sudden. Yes, go ahead.
I can speak Raven speech.
Oh, thank you for telling me. I guess it's just Gentle then. Gentle, you and Bud's ears perk up, like Bud's looking around very attentively. Hear like birds suddenly, like bird song, like swell up. And you're like looking for the source of it, but it takes you a beat to realize it's the people, like murmuring and talking to each other. And that Raven speech just sort of sounds like birdsong to someone who doesn't speak it or doesn't understand it. And they're sort of like talking to each other, very openly gossiping about you in their language and like staring as you're passing. And those of you who understand Raven speech hear, outsiders? Outsiders. There. Look. But isn't that the priestess? She's back. They're back. Who's that tall one? Scarred. Dangerous. Weapons? Are they from No Way? The Derby? Danger? And like these like words are just sort of peppering the rumors and gossip swirling around. Because Raven's speech is very da-da, 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 almost like a woodpecker pecking on bark.
Jiran will remember that.
We see the on-screen graphic flash across the Hounds of Mercy primetime slot.
Yeah, mask on. I am slouching a little, or like crouching a little bit more to just make myself feel less seen and perceived.
Okay. Sitlali, how are you taking all of this in stride? You can hear people gossiping about you. A couple start to seem to recognize you.
I think the most anyone gets out of them is like a regal kind of wave.
Are you doing the thing? Are you twisting your hand like a little mannequin?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. They are hot shit coming in. Paragon of the Raven Queen, after all, so.
Okay, that's the energy you're bringing into the scene. Mercy walks abreast you and sort of leans down to sort of like whisper in your ear, "Hey, you doing okay?"
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Honestly, a little nervous. I told Duran and Gentle that, my ex and I are on good terms, and I'm pretty sure we are, but sorry, this is your day. I'll let it be your day.
It can be our day.
No. This feels very much decidedly like a your day thing.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yep. And Mercy's gonna lean away as Bud trots along. Bud is loving it. Bud's little nose is going. His little tail's wagging. He's loving these sights and sounds. Until eventually, I think, the gates of the Obsidian Castle pull into view. These are, famous, huge, they're not wrought iron, they're wood, painted black. Or rather, they're made of, the same black wood that the Tree of Death and Life is made from. And the gate itself seems to have been shaped by druids or rangers with some sort of, nature magic. These were roots or branches that have been, carved from magic to form, huge gates that block off the castle from the rest of the township. There are no guards, is something you notice. But I think two people do step out from the crowd that are murmuring and looking at you. And Sitlali, these are your parents, whom you haven't seen in a number of years. And they're gonna step out from somewhere in the township. They're draped in the humble black and white robes of worshippers of the Raven Queen, and their hands have, you notice you have a mother and a parent, right? Okay, you notice your mother's hands look more weathered than the last time you saw them. The veins protrude more on the backs of her hands, and they're shaking a little. Perhaps the kind of arthritis she had is developing worse since you last saw her. And your parent has an arm around her, and their hairline has receded a little bit more. Their eyes are wide, right? And they're holding your mother close as they step out from the crowd. And your parent says, "Sit, Lolly?" Is that the name they would call you also?
Technically, no, but I don't really want to do the whole dead naming thing.
Okay.
So, we can roll with it.
Okay, then they can just refer to you as child, maybe.
Yeah.
Through a title instead of calling you by your name.
Mm-hmm.
Child. Could it be?
It is.
But you're back. How? Why?
I am.
They're here to reclaim their place as a priestess of the Raven Queen now. After the vanishing, now is the time, isn't it, child?
I am more than that, Mother, I believe.
What more? Child, who are these people with you?
Friends. A posse, if you will.
I don't understand. You come back after 8, 9 years of silence? You roll in here with these outsiders? Why?
Haven't you heard? The Paragons are waking.
Paragons? And at this, a chorus of chittering, spreads through the township. Because I think, a small crowd has formed around the gates to listen of your tale and to, see what's happening. And Paragon, 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 Paragon. They're all, looking at you. What do you mean, darling? What have you... What is this?
And I think they just sort of stretch their hand out and cast light, and it's that same dark brackish sort of energy that's very divine.
Okay.
I
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead if you want to finish the description.
No, that's all I got.
Okay. I think there's like a chorus of gasps, as this like little magical feat is performed. And your mother, she reels back, and your parent catches them, and your mother goes, I can't believe it. You had magics before, of course, but all of our clerics, even some of the Dexai, even the barons and the marquesses of the castle have lost their connection to the Raven Queen. How is this possible? How is this miracle? How? And she's actually gonna like stumble forward, like shrugging off your parent's arm and try to reach for your hand.
I think I take my hand back.
Child, I don't understand.
When I left here, you told me I would be welcome only as a visitor, never as family. Do you remember that day?
And your mother like casts her gaze down, but your parent is the one who steps forward, because I think they're the one who said that to you, not your mother. They step forward, and you see like some sweat rolling down the side of their like now kind of wrinkled temple, and their mouth is sort of set in this hard line across their jaw. I do. We both remember. And we both stand by it. Once you turn away from the path of the Raven Queen, once you spurn her as the way you did, you cannot so easily take her back.
I believe I am her paragon.
What?
Did you Sitlali Paragon?
Is this the surprise?
No, you're joking, right?
I think Sitlali very pointedly ignores Juron.
Your friends, your so-called posse, are not even aware
We're
of
friends.
this. This is in Raven speech. Gentle. So unfortunately, maybe you could pick up on maybe like the disdainful tone, so you know that this parent is not saying anything nice.
I'll say it for gentle friends,
Gentle.
not posse.
Aww. I also assume that Juron maybe has been like translating like on the DL to Gentle while this has been happening. Child, you have always been talented. One of our best, the best even, perhaps, after Leaf. But to call yourself a paragon, I don't know by what dark pact or dark magics you have obtained in order to retain the use of your powers, but paragon, those are children's stories. There's no way you could... And your mother actually holds up a hand to stop your parent. Sitlali, how do you know?
And they just put a hand over their chest. And I think if I can take some flavor liberties, I think that like, how do I want to phrase this? I think that like their sort of aura is being like augmented a little bit by Lonely in this moment because it is such a powerful moment. So I think that they like Sitlali in general just has kind of like an outline of that brackish magic just kind of like bubbling and bursting around them, like simmering. That's the word, simmering. And they put a hand on their chest and say, I hold something of hers inside of me.
Inside of you? What do you mean? Like a shard of her? She's not gone? She's still here?
Have the gates opened for me, Mother.
Child, you and I both know the only way to open the obsidian gates are to see if you are worthy. And what that means is, like, you would have to, like, put your hands on the gates. And if you're a magic user or whatever, there's some magical way that they open, right? Like, they would open for anyone that the castle would allow in.
Then I will just kind of smile tersely at my parent. And then I think maybe start to extend a hand to my mother and then think better of it and take it back again.
Oof.
And then I will turn and go to the gates.
Okay. As you turn and go to the gates, the crowd of people, like, part for you, right? They're, like, murmuring, but no one's gonna get in your way. It's every denizen of the court's right to try their mettle at the gates. They can't take that from you. So as you, like, step forward toward it, like, the murmuring around you sort of mounts as people are, like, whispering, Paragon? Paragon, there's no way, right? Could they be the Paragon? The Paragon, Paragon, Paragon. And that word keeps repeating over and over and over again in the murmuring and the chittering of the masses as you stride up to these massive, like, 30-foot tall gates, right? And you can feel, like, the weave tighten around the bark as you approach because the magic that keeps the gates animated and secure is still here, somehow, even in the wake of the cataclysm. Mercy follows you but stands a couple of respectful feet behind and waits.
I will approach the gates, look up at them, I'm back, my lady, and push on them.
As your hands connect with the bark and you start to push, several things happen. The first thing is all of you feel this, even Gentle, who doesn't understand Raven speech, because this has nothing to do with language. A massive wave of magical energy sweeps up from, like, behind you, from the southern side of the slope, like, ripples through the township from behind you as soon as Sitlali's palms connect with the gate and start to push. And this magic, like sweeps through the township. And I think, like, the trees left in this, like, force field almost, like, left in its wake, like, they shake, like it has physical presence, and, like, leaves start falling, like, branches tremble, like, even, like, a couple of carts start rocking and almost get threatened to get turned over, and this, like, it's almost like a massive, like, wall of wind just pummels through Blackspire, but it's magical too. Because as soon as this wave of force starts hitting people, several of them start dropping, right? Like Jiran and Gentle, because you're closer to where the crowd is, you see a couple of elders suddenly, and they, like, collapse to the ground, and their loved ones, like, exclaim and go over to their bodies, right? And a couple of youth even also, like, crumple to the ground. You see, like, perhaps, like, someone who's, like, in their 20s, like, holding, like, they're sort of limping a little, almost, like, oddly, holding, like, an arm full of firewood. As this wave hits them, they, like, wobble, they gasp, and then they collapse. And their, like, their loved one, like, runs over and starts, like, looking at their body and exclaiming. And then this wave of force, like, bam, hits Sitlali and hits the gate. And as this wave of magical power sweeps through you all, it feels like the weave, if the strings of the weave inside your soul are like guitar strings, it feels like a hand is just, like, running over it and strumming it once powerfully. And the vibrations of the magic rattle you from the inside out. Like, your hair stands on end, your heart starts pumping a little faster, right? Even, like, the hair on your head starts, like, waving back and forth from, like, the physical presence of this magical explosion. And, like, as your hands, like, hit the wood, there's a massive groaning noise as the gates push open for you. They open for you, Sitlali, and your hair is, like, billowing around your shoulders and around your ears, and I think you're silhouetted by, like, the sunless light of, like, the dawning morning, right? As you stand there and you look up at this castle. What do the three of you do?
Gentle, I think, starts moving through the crowd, giving small little medicine balls, the equivalent of like a smelling salt to help get some people, like wake people up. This brings back too many like memories of like how the cataclysm affected them personally. Like they go down to check Bud and then immediately start trying to check on people.
What's really interesting, Gentle, as you start moving through the crowd, you're like, oh my god, these people need help. Something's happened. They need my assistance, right? As you like, maybe you pass a couple medicine balls first, and then like maybe like a group, you pause at a group because something stands out to you. There's like an elder sort of fallen over, and their loved ones have sort of like rolled them onto a more dignified position on their back and are like putting like their hands in front of their chest, and they're murmuring and they're crying. But you realize they're not weeping out of grief; they're weeping out of happiness. Their faces look almost relieved. Right? And like they seem to be murmuring in Raven speech, so you don't know the words, but it's definitely some sort of prayer rites for the dead. You can make an Arcana check if you want.
I will.
Jiran, while that's happening, what are you doing?
I think Duran is trying to take stock of what has just happened, like trying to compare in their mind this magic and like other magic that he has felt before and whether it feels the same. I think in particular, trying to compare it to the way that Sitlali's magic feels, because Sitlali's magic has changed, right? And it's this weird, clingy, dark feeling now compared to what it was before. So I think they're trying to figure out, like, is this something I should be worried about? Or does this feel like the old gods when they were actually here?
Why don't you also roll Arcana, but for something else? Gentle, what did you get?
By the way.
15. You pick up on several things. As your hand stalls, like gripping the medicine balls inside your palm, you feel the weave kind of like tensing and swirling around this fallen elder's body. And you know instantly, looking at, they're dead, right? Like you've seen plenty of corpses. They're fully dead. But what's interesting is the weave doesn't snap, like their soul dissipating into nothingness here. For some reason, this wave of force seems to have killed them, ? But it also protected their soul. Their soul didn't dissipate into nothingness. It went somewhere else, but you don't know where it went. That's what you can tell with an Arcana check of a 15. Jiran, what did you get?
I got a 13.
It feels different from Sitlali's magic. Also, it came from behind, which could have been Sitlali calling like a force field of like wind subconsciously from behind, but it seemed to have originated elsewhere. And looking at Sitlali pushing with the gates open, something like this could be a coincidence, right? It's like dawning on you. And the kind of magic that just hit everyone feels similar to the kind of magic that you have received from healing clerics, right? Of like the old 8 gods. If anything, it feels similar to Unmei's magic than anything else you've encountered. But not quite.
That's odd. And you said that this wave hits Sitlali.
Sure does.
How does Sitlali look? Because everyone else passed out, but Sitlali is fine?
Several people passed out. Not everyone. I would say maybe 10% of everyone in the crowd passed out or fell down. Sitlali, let's pan over to you, right? The gates fling open for you, and as this magic passes through you, you feel lonely in your soul, like rattle. Like, because Lonely's, if we stretch the guitar metaphor, Lonely's inside the guitar as it's being strummed and it's sort of getting rattled around. And Lonely's just going, she's here. That was your destiny, Sitlali. Can you feel it pushing you in?
Yes.
Claim what is yours.
Absolutely. And I think I'm going to turn to look at Mercy. How's she doing?
Mercy is staring at you with like an open mouth. And for the first time in a long time, she looks speechless. And there's an expression almost of shock, right? You get the feeling that she really wanted you to be open to the gates. But with this effect, this is, I mean, more than what she ever could have hoped for. And she looks proud of you. And almost like there's like this expression of reverence in her face.
I think I hold out a hand to her.
Wow. And she takes your hand.
Shall we?
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. I'm gonna start making my way up to the castle.
The people who collapsed, was that how, what was the wave?
It's her way.
Oh. Are they dead?
It is her will.
Uh-huh. You get the sense that Mercy wants to investigate the mystery of why these people collapsed, but she's also torn because she wants to follow you too, and she waffles for a bit, like at the threshold of the gates, and then she nods and turns and focuses on her mission and follows you in. Duran, gentle?
I think Duran will tentatively follow in, like not quite as confident or ready, like raring to go as Mercy and Sitlali are. I think they're a little weirded out by all of this. Like something's not clicking, something's not right here. So I think he's gonna come in, but very, very tentatively.
Okay.
In Morosian, I am relaying what I picked up on to Duran, because I also have bad vibes. Like my mask is on. I am shrunken in as much as I can be. I don't feel good here.
Okay. Yeah, something's going on. And I don't think either of you are quite sure if Sitlali is the direct cause of it, but they must be involved somehow, right? Because it happened when they opened the gates. So as the two of you follow more tentatively, Sitlali's mother and parent like run up to like the edge of the gate, and your mother is like, you know, your parent is holding her back, but she's like holding out for you. She's going, Sitlali, sorry, child, it's you, it's really you, isn't it? You're the one chosen by the Raven Queen. You're her paragon, aren't you? You ended the undeath. You. And she is the first one to fall to her knees in supplication as you stroll in, like, toward the castle. And, like, as a wave, everyone else in the township sort of, like, slowly, like, get to their knees. They, like, lower their heads in, like, a court-like way of worship.
And Sitlali just has the biggest fucking smile on their face. They don't say shit, they keep going.
Okay. And there's just this one word that's repeated over and over again as the hounds enter through the obsidian gates and start to go up the steps, right? The wrought wood steps to like the main entrance into the obsidian castle. This one word whispered on the wind, carried on the wings of birds that escape from the canopies of the township. Paragon, 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 whispered in reverence and worship and divine love. And now, I think we're gonna do a little bit of a transition cut to, I mean, when you reach the top of the stairs, there are guards in the loosest sense of the term. It's not very militarized here in the court, but there are two like holy folk of the Raven Queen, who saw everything happen, right? Like they overheard, they felt the wave of force for sure, and they both like have these like long like raven's beak masks on, almost like medieval like European like plague doctors a little bit, but they're made from bone, and they're both dressed in these like dark like leather robes, and they look at each other, and wordlessly they open the front doors of the Obsidian Castle. To admit your party, like without even like putting up a protest at all. As you stride into the castle, your boots start clacking over like marble and stone, and inside like you smell like this old sweet smell of like centuries old rot that has just sort of like hung in the air, like not in like a gross way necessarily, but almost in like an austere way. Like this is a very old place, and the central trunk of the tree of death and life just sort of punches up all the way. If you crane your neck up, like all the way, and it like vanishes through the ceiling, right? And probably extends for like another like 80 feet or so. And there's like various offshoots and chambers and towers and turrets and parapets, whatnot. This is like a massive castle with like multiple different buildings attached to it. But Sitlali, I think you know where you need to go, and I think you know how to get there. Because where the Dexai will almost certainly be congregated after also feeling that massive wave of force is the Chamber of Whispers, which is at the apex of the castle.
I think Sitlali will take a second and look back at Duran and Gentle. Surprise!
Paragon.
Probably.
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 You're letting those people outside. You're letting them do that for probably.
I mean, it seems pretty likely. As soon as she opened the gates, that thing came, and your mother, she said something about ending the undeath. That's why those people collapsed, right?
That
Yes.
didn't feel like your magic, Sitlali.
It was the Raven Queen.
Maybe
I'm not convinced.
Maybe a little more trepidation would be a good idea.
You can
And
wait
I'm not
outside.
saying I don't trust you.
We're supposed to be keeping the paragons a secret, right? So even if you are a paragon, let's just say for a moment that you are, we can't just go around making a big show of it.
Again, you're welcome to wait outside, Duran.
Don't
There's
be mean
no
to
way in
Sharon.
hell I am leaving you alone to talk to the court.
We're a team still.
Then let's go. And they start making their way to the Chamber of Whispers.
I think this conversation has been occurring as you've been going up the stairs. Like, I think there are these spiraling stairs that lead like all the way up. And as you're talking, this castle, I think, for Duran and Gentle, neither of whom have been here before, feels really empty. There's like no one in here, oddly enough. There's the occasional raven, and you see like nests built into these like old, almost like decrepit like chandeliers, right? And like bats are also roosting, and like the occasional fluttering of wings. But the most amount of people you pass seem to be servants, or retainers, or like tenders and keepers of the castle. And when you pass them, they stop and they bow deeply. They also seem to be aware of what's happening. They're specifically inclining their heads at Sitlali, as you continue to make your way up like the velvet-covered steps of this like wooden castle, brimming with power and ancient magic.
As we're walking up, I think Duran is going to like tap, or like not tap, but like hold Mercy's shoulder to like pull her back just a little bit from Sitlali and just say, and you're letting her do this because...
Listen, I never thought that we'd actually have a paragon in our midst, and this is 99% assured, right? What else could have been the cause of that magic? Maybe
It could be a lot of things.
Maybe this is fate. Maybe destiny has decreed it so that there's a paragon in our midst so we can find the paragon of Sen more easily and help Unmei.
Since when were you this easy? This easy to convince that somebody we know is a paragon? You were fighting tooth and nail that there's no way in hell Oka could be a paragon. So what happened here?
Mercy sputters a bit, and says, well, we were just presented with undeniable evidence. If Oka suddenly sprouts wings and gains 1 million eyes over their body and gets a halo of swirling black magic and said, I'm the paragon of Sen in some sort of layered double voice, then sure, I'd believe it. Yes, Gentle, you don't have to keep raising your hand.
I don't want to step over anyone's toes. First off, I agree with Jeron wholeheartedly. I was going to ask the same type of question. But also, I mean, Sitlali didn't grow any wings or anything to that extent. And I'm not saying like I trust them and I trust everyone here wholeheartedly, but maybe your feelings are slightly clouded for other reasons. That also help cloud your feelings.
What are you implying, Gentle?
I don't want to be the one to say it, but
Mercy, don't make us say it.
Growing very close in a way that's not as subtle as either of you think it is.
A pronounced pause, and then Mercy says, I don't let who I sleep with cloud my judgment about them.
I have to pointedly say I don't believe that's true.
When has that never been true?
All of the other times where we have been in the other nations.
Well, I told you. Well, I've been very upfront if and when those Exes and Selim is off her rocker and wanted to kill me, and I told you as much.
You made it really clear that if I hadn't saved Unmei, you would have hurt me. That's a thing that I don't think that was. I think there was a lot of cloud emotions. I saw your eye when that happened. You were
the
very
monster
scared.
Therapist.
Well,
I'm still not over that. By the way,
I still maintain that I would have been fine. Jikyat and I just had to fight it out.
You looked like you were dying when we got there.
She's
just for the record.
I was fine. She wouldn't have killed me. She likes me too much. The worst thing she would have done is turned into a drider, injected me with poison, webbed me up for the next 5 years.
Gross.
Okay, I don't need to know about the details of your personal life. The point being, are you sure? Are you sure that Sitlali is the paragon? Because if they are not, God, the 8 forbid, though the courts are not going to be happy with us.
Okay, fine. Then we play our hand intelligently. Sitlali, a word with the 4 of us. Listen. I know you have certain feelings, and I do too, about the Paragon situation here at hand, but why don't we try to conceal our hand when we go in first? Make it about the mission. Let me talk to my contact and see how things play out from there.
The mission has changed.
Sitlali. There's no stopping you, is there?
And they just grin at Mercy. Like, this is the most smug, self-assured, confident, like, shit-eating grin Sitlali has ever given anyone, maybe. Like,
Mercy throws her hands up and looks like to you, Gerard, and you, Gentle, like, do you want to try?
Hi, Sitlali.
Yes, Gentle.
I'm going to ask my usual type of question. Is this you without a mask?
I think so.
Oh no.
I think Duran just puts his hands up. Just, okay, all right, we'll do this your way. If this goes wrong, though, it's on you, Sitlali.
I figured as much from you, Jerome.
It's on us. We're a team, remember?
What is that? You know what? Never mind. Just go.
Sitlali, lead the way.
With you at my side, of course. And they extend a hand again.
Right, of course, but it's probably a good idea. Clearly, these two numbnuts know already, but it's probably a good idea for us to not hold hands, just because if theoretically there was an X in the Chamber of Whispers that theoretically would see me with someone else, theoretically she might not be very happy. Theoretically. So just...
Theoretically, I could strike her dead where she stood.
What? Don't do that, Sitlali. Let's be cool about this, okay? Let's be diplomatic. And you're talking and bantering as you're walking through, like you're continuing to walk.
Sitlali. Mercy's the good guy right now. What is happening?
I'm also the good guy.
I look at Duran. Just help.
Duran has given up. I think they're just bracing themselves for something to go wrong. I think even in the case that Sitlali is the Paragon, I think it's very clear that even that scenario is not going to go well right now. And so he's just braced himself for whatever's about to go down.
Yeah, okay. Sitlali leads your group through a stone archway. And on the archway is etched like various words in Raven speech, which I think is almost like a pictographic language of like images of like feathers and beaks and talons and raven faces and bones, right? That basically just reads in Raven speech, the Chamber of Whispers. And you enter the said Chamber of Whispers. This chamber is pretty dang massive. It's a big room. And it's built around 4 branches of the Tree of Life and Death that jut out of the floor and extend into the sky. It's an open-air chamber. There's no ceiling here. And here, you see just, like, the sky opened up before you with these wisps of, like, gray, dense clouds covering the sunless light filtering down. And each of the 4 branches jutting out of the ground is cultivated by a different court of the Raven Queen. On one branch, you see green moss and budding flowers for the court of spring. On another branch, you see flowers in bloom, lush vegetation, dense foliage for the court of summer. On a third branch, you see mushrooms, golden leaves, vines for the court of fall. And finally, for the court of winter, you see a branch covered in gnarled vines, thorns, and dusted with everlasting snow and frost. You also all see the 4 Dexi of the court, each one standing in front of their appointed branch. They were talking vigorously amongst themselves, but as soon as the 4 of you entered, they fell silent and turned to look at you. Almost like they were expecting you, in a weird way. The Duchess of Winter, let's focus on her first. She is a graceful elven woman with skin the color of dried bone. Her cheekbones are high and sharp enough to cut steel, and her black eyes are heavily lidded. Strands of gray and white thread through this short, crow-black hair. She wears a stiff, collared robe, the color of strong wine. And clasped around her sternum is a belt of bones, feathers, and beads that rustle and clack as she turns to look at your party. And next to her is the Duke of Fall, a human man, perhaps in his late 20s, early 30s, with dark brown skin and this long black hair braided up and back. And the braids sort of go down his spine. He wears these deep red robes, and his face is broad and welcoming with these full lips and these very inquisitive eyes. The Dex of Summer is a stone-skinned tiefling youth, maybe 16 or 17, with this shoulder-length, shaggy black hair. They stand with their arms clasped behind their back. They have a rather sallow look on their face, and their white eyes are fixed sharply on the four of you. They have a single corkscrew horn that sort of curls up like a gnarled tree branch. And their robes are a scintillating golden color. And finally, the youngest Dex, the Dex of Spring, is a half-elf, half-orc child, maybe 9 or 10 years old. And they have this pale skin splotched with green in the face and the arms, this short red hair kind of shaved down on one side, and these inquisitive amber eyes. And they wear a set of light green robes that bring out the green or blotches on their face. What do you do?
I think Sitlali enters like they own the fucking place.
Okay.
Do they recognize anyone immediately?
Yes. I think you would know all of them except for the youngest Dex. You recognize the Duchess of Winter, though when you were still here, she was the Duchess of Fall. She must have recently become the Duchess of Winter. You know her in her fall name. You don't know what her new winter name is, as Gold. Gold Starwing is her full name. You recognize the current Duke of Fall, who was not a duke or a duchess or anything before this, but he did work in the castle, and you might have like glanced him politicking while you were working on being a priestess. His name is Duke Root Sweetbreeze. I don't know if you would recognize the tiefling or the half-elf, half-orc.
And I think Sitlali just gives sort of like a sweeping curtsy. Yeah, they would curtsy. And just says, my Dex eye.
Jiran will follow suit and bow, seeing Sitlali curtsy.
Bud and I will bow, some sort of gesture of respect.
It is the Dex of Summer, the youth, the tiefling, who speaks first. Rise. Is this it then, Duchess? Is this the one we're waiting for? The one who ended the undeath just now? Are one of you the paragon? And they're speaking in Raven speech.
I'll translate for Gentle.
Yes, I believe that I am.
You. And this is Duchess Gold, as far as you know, Starwing, the oldest one, the Duchess of Winter who speaks. She looks like she's maybe in her mid-50s. She stands, she steps forward, and the next words she says are in common. We have outsiders among us. Dexai, let us not be rude and let us address them in a common tongue. You. And she points not at you, Sitlali, but at Mercy, next to you. What do you think you're doing back here, darling? Hey, Gold. Sup? The name is Rhyme now. Like rhyme and reason, of which you always had many. Much. And no. Rhyme as in frost and snow. Of course, that was my second guess. What's the meaning of this, Mercy? Is Sitlali truly the paragon? So you two know each other? And there's a question in Mercy's voice.
We do.
More than just know each other. Sitlali was one of our most promising, holy people, here studying in the Obsidian Castle. In fact, they were mentored by one of our best and brightest before she passed away. Oh, I see. I wasn't aware of that. Jabron, Gentle, were you aware of that?
No, they never said that.
No.
Well, what brings the four of you here? And this is the youngest Dex, the 10-year-old. And Mercy's eye falls upon them. Something about paragons, right? You're the paragon? Really?
I believe so. Though it is not completely confirmed.
Where are my manners? Allow me to introduce us to you. I am Duchess Rhyme Starwing of the Winter Court. This is my colleague Duke Root Sweetbreeze. And the human man bows, and his eye lingers on you, Gentle, I think. It's like looking you up and down. And then gestures to the tiefling. This is Dex Bloom Sharpclaw. Hi there. It's nice to meet the four of you. Though under better circumstances I would hope for the future. And this is our newest Dex. Dex Spider Starwing. My child. Hi. I this wasn't a nepotistic choice, though, I promise. Oh, nice to meet you, kid. Sorry, is that adultist? I never know around these court folk. No, it's fine. You can call me a kid. I'm a kid. Just don't talk down to me, because I know stuff. Okay, yeah. You got it, champ. That's an example of talking down to. Okay, then, child. All right, I'll take that. Can we... This is the teenager. I'm really not good at voices, so I have to say who it is every time. Can we get back to the issue at hand? And the teenager sort of runs a hand through their shaggy hair. The fact that there might be a frickin' paragon standing amongst us? Yes. It was you, then. The one who pushed open the gate. The one who caused the Profane Undeath to end.
I believe so, yes.
Well, Mercy, is it true? Even though we ended things on a rather sour note 10 years ago, I still believe that you won't lie with your back pressed against the wall. Do you believe that Citlali is indeed the paragon of the Raven Queen? And Mercy turns to you, Jiran, and you, Gentle, to answer the question.
I'm gonna let Gentle take this one.
Would you let me? I have faith in my friend. I trust them wholeheartedly.
As do I. If Citlali says they're the paragon, then I believe them.
Is there... Dexai, is there a way to confirm this? Either way. Because as Citlali has mentioned, it hasn't been confirmed. So, if you know a way to do so.
Yes, the ancient texts of the court, the ancient scrolls and papyri, speak of the paragons as containing the voice of the gods within themselves. If you are truly a paragon, surely you can let the Raven Queen who is inside you speak and come out, can't you? And Citlali, you hear lonely inside you go, "Let me show them what you can do."
All right. And I put a hand on my chest. Do your thing.
Okay, you feel lonely, this presence inside your soul surge up as the strings of the weave inside you sort of like distend, and then as lonely like seeps past the gaps of your soul and rise up to the top, and it's like you, Sidlali, your consciousness is being forced down as Lonely surges up and sort of takes the driver's seat for a minute here, right? And the rest of you see Sidlali blink, and when they open their eyes, they're pure black. And like this like black light is sort of like glowing from their pure black scleras. And when Sidlali speaks, it's in a completely different voice. And coming out of Sitlali's mouth, now like all of you feel like the weave starting to tighten around Sitlali, and like a little breeze almost starts like kicking up, rustling the loose leaves that are in this chamber. I am a voice of the Raven Queen. And then Lonely, using you as a vessel, casts Blight at 7th level. This crop circle almost of like death just withers a massive circumference of like these beautiful like 4 branches, right? You see like the spring branch, like the mosses on it like wilt and turn black and then crumble off of the bark. You see like the autumn branch, like the golden leaves crumble into dust and nothingness. You see the vines of the winter branch like twist and like flake off into dust as well. And like the golden sheen of the summer branch just like dies and turns gray and ripples around you. And the Dexai are gasping and they're reeling back and they're holding onto their branches, right? And they're like shielding their eyes with like from like the black light glowing out of like your face, Sitlali. And then the weave like loosens again as Lonely like settles back down inside you.
Is everyone okay?
Y'all are fine. This
No.
just affected the plant life, but emotionally you might not be okay.
No.
So,
Just a question. Does this seem like something that the Raven Queen would do, just based on lore that we know? I know we're from Morose, but just any lore that we might have known about the Raven Queen. Is this like, does this remind us of any tales of her doing things, trying to find a silver lining here?
So there's conflicting interpretations of how the Raven Queen acts and what is the correct way to worship her, but she is the goddess of life and death. So she would be able to cast spells like Blight, right? And like take life away, right? But only when absolutely necessary and at the preordained time. So this could work.
Would this be the right time?
That is up to God. That is up to the Raven Queen, my friend. This is really powerful magic, though. I mean, that was a 7th level spell. And I think there's just sort of like a circumference of 30 feet spanning out from Sitlali of just death. Like dead plant life and like gray ash. And like even like the massive like branches of the tree are like kind of withered and gray and look like they might flake away at any moment.
How are the Dexai responding to this or reacting to this?
I was gonna give y'all like a chance, but if y'all like need a second to like think of what to do, I can have them respond for sure. Duchess Rhyme Starwing has like one hand on like her branch. She's like reeled back. And you like hear her in the middle of this call out to her child. Spider! And like the kid like runs over to her and like holds onto her hand like in fear and like is like looking around. And like the Dexai I think have like crowded together. They seem pretty close to each other and like they're like holding on to each other, right, as this happened. And then as it settles down, Dexai Rhyme Starwing says that magic, how that voice, it sounded like it could have. Are you? And there's this look of like, maybe this is a sign, right? But, and in character, but if this is how the Raven Queen is now, the hunger, the death, the power, the destruction, is that what she wants of us, Sitlali?
I think Sitlali is still standing, but Sitlali.exe has crashed. I think they kind of internally are kind of like, hey, what the fuck?
To Lonely?
Yes.
You showed them your providence.
Where is she?
Before they can respond, Rhyme speaks up. But if you truly are the Raven Queen's paragon, there's something you must know, Sirlali. An omen I received several weeks after the cataclysm, portents, warnings of the paragons coming back. How you aren't meant to protect Andake. You're meant to and then interrupting Lonely. In the middle of the chamber, between the Dexai and your party, the air cuts open. Almost like someone were running a knife through the air and lasering a portal open. You see like black light suddenly begin to glow at a point and then in a perfect circle, slice it open. And when this line of light reconnects with itself, there's a beam of black light that glows and shimmers. And then the portal opens. And on the other side of it, the three of you see the weave-spun nest, or the interior of the weave-spun nest. Jiran and Gentle, I don't think you've been there before. Sitlali, I think you recognize it on sight. But it seems to be the inside of just like a giant bird's nest, right? Instead of like twigs, it's like roots knitted together and like branches knitted together to form these like high walls that are like 15 feet tall, right? But that's not what catches your eye the most. What catches your eye is the person stepping through this portal. Bringing with her this massive, like, as soon as she puts one leather booted foot over the rim of this portal, like, she brings with it just like the weave just tightens around her, right? And like shimmers and like brims with this like power. 1 foot over the threshold, and then her head ducks under like the top of this portal she's cut open. And you all see, kind of pale-skinned, gray-skinned, actually, drow woman. She has this long, like, black hair that's, like, streaked through with these, like, bright alabaster white strands. She wears this, like, studded leather armor and a cape of raven feathers, with these, like, big, thick leather pauldrons on her shoulders. She's really tall. She's, like, 6'2", and, like, heavily muscled. And the raven cape goes all the way down, like, to her feet. And her armor is also sleeveless, revealing these, like, big, muscular arms veined with these intricate golden tattoos of raven feathers that, like, glow dimly, in this shaded light. And you see how she was able to cut this portal open because she holds in one hand a massive ebony scythe, that ends in this silver blade that gleams, right? And it's got like etchings down the handle of like raven feathers and like ravens taking flight. One of her eyes is gold, and the other one is pure black, like sclera and all. And Sitlali, you see Mist Stiltwalker step back into the realm of life. This is undoubtedly her. Her hair's grown out by a lot. Her hair was like a lot shorter, like almost like a butch, like Captain Marvel haircut last time you saw her. But this is unmistakably her. And as far as you know, Miss Stiltwalker is freaking dead. She died 7 years ago. She steps through the portal, pauses upon seeing like your party, shakes her head, turns her back on the four of you and addresses the Dexai. Dexai. And she gets down on one knee and holds out the scythe in supplication, like a knight offering their sword. I am Mist Stiltwalker. I am returned from the dead. That is no longer my name. My name is Revenant. I am the paragon of the Raven Queen, and I'm here to offer my blade and help. I think we can cut away there for our break, which is long overdue for this session. And we'll be back in 10 minutes. Wow. So it is 8:42 over here. We'll be back about around 8:52, which is about 8 minutes until the hour. We love you all so much. Enjoy the tunes, speculate, theorize in the comments, in the freaking Twitch chat. We love you all so much. We will be back. Shpeesh. Welcome back to the second half of episode 4 of the Hounds of Mercy, which is, of course, volume 1 of Andake Anthologies. Let's just hop right back into it. Some reminders of content warnings for this episode, and the entire miniseries, honestly. Fantasy violence, monsters and body horror, blood and bloodletting, addiction and substance use, romance and flirting acted out on screen, references to romantic and sexual entanglements, toxic relationships, shitty people, looking at Solali, just kidding, environmental disasters, refugees and displacement, and apocalyptic events. As a reminder, you can use !CW at any point in chat to get a full list of these content warnings for your viewing pleasure. And with that out of the way, let's hop right back into the action with Rev. Kneels on this stone marbled floor shot through with vines and branches and thorns of the great tree of death and life, all around the Chamber of Secrets, holding in her outstretched hands a scythe toward the Dexai, almost in supplication, as she pledges her fealty to the Court of Ravens, to Blackspire, and to helping them as the Raven Queen's newly appointed paragon. What do the three of you do?
I take a step forward. You're dead.
Rev pauses and turns her head so you see like a profile view of her face. And from this direction, you only see that one golden eye. Before she died, before Mist died, both of her eyes were golden. Now one of them is pure black. Yes. Yes, I did. I did die. But I'm back now.
Which is sacrilege, as you know.
The Raven Queen works in ways that we do not comprehend. You should know that, Sitlali.
I do.
Of everyone.
Did Leaf come back with you?
No. No, she didn't. But you're here. You're still a priestess of the Raven Queen, aren't you?
No, I'm more than that.
I don't understand.
You are not her paragon.
You see Rev's eyebrow raise, and then her eye falls from your face, like down your body, and lands on the floor, where she sees the blight. And like, her head turns as she like registers what's happened here, right? She sees like this like blackened circle of just death around you. My Dexai, excuse me. And she stands, like holding the scythe in one hand. And behind her, like Duchess Rhyme Starwing says, what's going on? What's happening? And the Dexai seemed like shocked into speechlessness, because on their faces it looks like they've seen a ghost, which Sitlali, you know, is pretty close to the truth of their grasp of the situation. And Rev turns fully to face your party. And even though there's like, I think the breeze, because this is like an open ceiling chamber at the very top of the tree, breeze rustles through and like causes the feathers on her cape to sort of like flap, like silently against each other as she like holds this one scythe in her hand. What do you mean?
When I knew you, you were several ranks beneath me, if I recall correctly.
I served to protect Leaf. To protect Leaf Dreameye.
And did you succeed?
Rev pauses and says, "It was the greatest failure of my life. And now I dedicate my undeath to carrying out justice in her name."
It is my destiny to do so, so I believe you may be dismissed.
You are mistaken, Sitlali. The Raven Queen, a shard of her, an echo, sings inside my chest, inside my soul. She has chosen me, and at first I rejected her. I wasn't ready. I was too filled and consumed with rage against the dog-headed man that killed her. But now I know. Rage and pain don't have to be inert. They don't have to be the only things driving me. Light for the future can too.
I think at this, Duran is going to step up and face Rev and ask, we've been told that the Paragons are able to call forth the gods, the ones that they hold inside of them. You claim to have the Raven Queen inside of you. There's one way to settle this, right?
Only minutes ago did I accept the Raven Queen into my heart. She is weakened with her pact with me. She needs to rest inside my soul. But if that is what it takes to
Because you are not strong enough.
I want to roll insight on what Rev was saying.
About, like, everything that she said up to this point, I'm assuming?
About the minutes ago, mostly.
Yeah, go for it. I'm interested in how this role plays out before I continue, actually.
15.
Are you trying to tell if she was lying? Or if something else was unsaid?
Yeah, see if she believes that. Like...
Yeah, everything she'd said so far with your 15 has been truthful. Like, you don't sense that she's hiding anything.
Sitlali? Quick, quiet sidebar.
What, gentle?
Okay. It seems like she's telling the entire truth. And I'm not doubting you, but maybe there's a lot more complicatedness happening with the active paragons. I assume it wouldn't be super easy. Maybe there's some sort of test we can do to prove, kind of like...
You call me a liar?
No, I don't want anyone to get hurt or this to hurt anyone. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
If Duran kind of like pops up, like, hey guys, what are you talking about?
Sitlali has, like, locked eyes as much as they can with Gentle through the mask.
I'm avoiding it.
I think they reach out and tip your chin to meet their gaze. If you wish for no one to get hurt, then you better stand back.
Hey, Sitlali. Relax. We're your friends, remember?
Are you, Duran?
Yes, Sitlali.
Only when it's convenient for you.
That's
okay.
Not true.
Whoa,
who instigated that? Do you remember who instigated that?
This isn't about that. Nothing will ever be about that.
I'm not so sure about that. If you're angry at me, then talk to me. Don't do whatever this is.
Sitlali, you're enough just as you always have been.
This is my destiny, and they turn their back on you and to face Rev.
As you do, I think Mercy reaches out a hand, but you step out of, like, the range of, like, her hand and just sort of grasps air. She goes, Sitlali, but it's too late. You've turned to face what you believe is your destiny, Rev. This imposter, this person claiming to be something that she clearly isn't because it's rightfully yours. Lonely has promised it so. You felt it. You opened up the gates of the castle and you brought the magic in. This was you, not her. Who's this random bitch who died 7 years ago? doesn't matter. She wasn't even a priestess. Not even a good one. Rev looks down at you, and in her face, she was listening and watching all of this, and like comprehension dawns on like why, you know, you get the sense that she intuits that you think you're the paragon. And then another expression crosses her face at Lali, and I want you to tell me how this makes you feel. It is a look of pity. Sitlali, both of us have lost people. Both of us have had past lives that we want to leave behind. I can tell you're no longer a priestess of the court, skilled as you are. I can tell that you're here not because you serve the Dexai, but because you're here to claim what you think is yours. But I urge you, Sitlali, to find your own path and not step on a path that was not meant for you.
Sitlali equips their shield. If you are to be the rightful paragon, then I should be no problem for you.
Don't make me do this.
When I said you were dead, that wasn't simply a statement of fact. That was a promise.
She is not going to attack you first. And those sound like fighting words. Are you gonna attack? That feels like an attack word. Or do you want her to, are you waiting for a response from her?
I think I say that. And then I cast Blindness, Deafness, which is a Constitution saving throw for her.
Okay. What's the DC?
16.
Okay, she does save.
Okay.
But, so what does it look like as you try to cast this spell?
I think it's the same, like, sickly dark sort of magic, but I think it's angrier now. I think it's more... Because I'm heated. Lonely is probably also a little heated. So it's, like, more roiling than it was, like, simmering before. It's very volatile.
Okay.
I don't know that I don't know how much is Sitlali and how much is Lonely being in control of this situation anymore.
Okay.
I don't think they know.
I like it. You fling out your hand as like the weave sort of vibrates around Rev, and you see she like twirls the scythe in one hand and like closes her eyes to like sort of shake it off as like the weave stops vibrating around her and starts to stabilize. As you can feel her like make that save against your spell, but then you hear Lonely inside you go, "Let me help. Give me some of your power. Sitlali, just say yes. We can defeat her."
Yes.
And she's going to make that save with disadvantage.
Okay.
She does fail that one.
Okay.
So how does blindness, deafness work?
The target either blinded or deafened, my choice, for the duration, which is a minute. So let's go with blinded.
Okay.
At the end of each of the target's turn, they can make a con save. On a success, the spell ends.
Sounds good. Great. She's blinded. So what does the blindness look like? As like all of you see something real weird, which is as Rev clearly shakes off this spell, suddenly it's like the time around her is localized and reverses as like the same, like as Lonely's magic jumps in, and the same like kind of like wavering wraps around her face again, but this time it takes hold. So how does the blindness manifest for Rev?
I think it's almost like cataracts kind of form.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's more like a cataract thing, and I think Sitlali, despite themselves, busts out that shit-eating grin again. Because, like, Paragon shouldn't be able to, dodge that.
You did something, thanks to Lonely, and because you accepted Lonely's help, I needed you to roll a d20 for me, please.
Okay.
Connie, why?
We'll find out.
What do you think of that?
Nope, just a straight d20.
That's a natural 1.
Bestie, no!
Okay. That's okay. That's actually really good. Because you are going to lose 1 hit point off of your max HP that you cannot recover.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So that is going to be your turn, I assume. And now it's going to be Rev's. We're in a loose initiative here, so Jiran and Gentle, as this shit's going down, would either of you like to intervene?
Yeah.
Okay. To intervene, roll initiative. I'll why don't all 3 of you roll initiative? Because that was sort of like a free surprise attack that I'm going to give Sitlali.
I hate that I knew I was going to jump in.
I got an 8.
11.
Sitlali?
Things are looking grim. I've just lost my bestie 20 on the ground.
Good.
So that's a 16 plus numbers. 18.
Okay. So Rev is going to be next. And she, at the end of her turn, makes the save again, right? Okay. She's going to do several things. The first thing she's going to do is say, Sitlali, it doesn't have to be this way. I don't want to hurt you.
Hurt me. Do it. If you're really the paragon.
She sighs and then twirls the scythe again and swipes it. Even though all of you are out of range, as she swipes the scythe through the air, it causes like a shockwave, like a black shockwave to shoot out from the blade. And I need Sitlali only to make a Constitution saving throw.
$22.
That is not sufficient. So you're gonna take full damage. You are going to take. Oh boy.
Let me get a calculator.
That's not so bad. That's gonna be 12 points of magical slashing damage. And another. That's why you got this. And another. Another 8 points of cold damage.
Okay.
As boosh, the first blade cuts through you. And then I think there's like several different like shock waves, right? And then the next one slams into you. And you are going to take. Okay. Oh, okay. 11 points of magical slashing damage. And that's not bad at all. 4 points.
Have any of these been crits?
No.
Okay.
No, none of these have.
Sorry, because I have a thing for that. Okay.
Like max damage on the die, you mean?
No, just like if they roll a crit, like to attack.
No, this is a saving throw for you, and they did.
Oh, you're right.
So Rev isn't making an
Yes.
attack roll. Yeah, as she would be making an attack roll with disadvantage because of her blindness. Okay.
Right.
Yes. So the second one is 11 points of magical slashing damage, and what did I say? Like 4 points of cold damage, I think.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead and take that? And at the end of her turn, Rev is going to make that save again against 15.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
16? 16.
Oh, she actually, she is going to succeed. But as she starts to shake it off, you hear Lonely's voice again. I can keep her winded. Just say yes again.
Yes.
Okay. She's gonna make that save again. Oh my god. Okay, that's a nat one. She's gonna fail that as well. As the same thing happens, like reality seems to warp around Rev to sort of like dismiss whatever like holy power seems to be suffusing her. And Sitlali, I need you to roll another, instead of a D20 this time, my good friend, I need you to roll a D100.
That could be worse. 3.
Wow, you're gonna lose 3 max HP. You are rolling so good on these lonely deals. Nice. And at the very end of her turn, Rev is going to teleport. You all see sort of her turn, and in just like swirl of like darkness and feathers, she disappears out of view. And you all hear the whirling behind your party as she reappears in view behind you to get like better positioning. And next is going to be Sitlali.
Before Sitlali attacks, I just want to say, are you sure you want to do this still? This feels bad.
Shut the fuck up, gentle. I know what I'm doing.
I'm sorry.
Do not swear at gentle.
I'm sorry.
And Sitlali, I think, wheels around. Sitlali looks real bad. Sitlali's not doing well, health-wise, obviously. Sitlali also didn't prep a lot of Healy spells for today. That's fine.
okay. Lonely can help you out.
Okay, exactly. I don't need them. I don't need anybody. So she's behind us now?
Yep, she's behind you.
Okay, so... fuck me. Yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna cast Guiding Bolt at 3rd level.
Okay.
That's a D100. That's not gonna help me. That's a 17 plus 8.
Yeah, okay, yeah. 25. Yeah, that would hit.
Okay, cool. Tight. Oh, I meant to do a fucking thing before I did that. Can I say I did a fucking thing before I did that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can. What is the fucking thing you'd like to do before that?
Never mind, it's an action, not a bonus action. Fuck me. Okay. Sorry,
okay.
Grave Claire thing.
Tell me what you're trying to do. All right? Just tell me what the thing you want to do is. We can see if we can reach an agreement.
Okay, I was going to do I was going to channel Divinity Path to the Grave.
Okay.
Which would make her vulnerable to all damage of the next attack.
Okay. As you're trying to reach into this power, you hear Lonely go, "I can help you. I can let you do this. Let me make you powerful. You know what you have to say, Sitlali."
Yes.
You can do it.
Okay.
You can do it. You can use another action. You can do it. You can action surge like a fighter.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure nothing bad will come of this. So I will channel Divinity Path to the Grave and mark her for fucking death. And then
what does that look
25?
like?
I think it's very much like a point. And I think it's Lonely's voice on top of Sitlali's, and it's just like "You are sacrilege," that just kind of echoes through the chamber.
Okay. And like it hits her, right? This like Path of the Grave trait like hits her, right? And she like pauses a little bit as you all sort of see like this like invisible force like tangle her hair and like ruffle like the cloak on her body, and Rev like looks at you, pauses like with one hand like gripped around her scythe, and she says, "I know I am, but that voice, so are you. The difference between you and me, Sitlali, is I know that I'm a monster. Are you aware that you're one too? What's inside you? What is that?"
And I think that's when I cast Guiding Bolt without saying anything.
Okay, that 25 does hit, so you can roll double damage, right?
Is that double damage?
Because she's vulnerable. So you double the damage. So that would be double damage, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, look at all the sixes. Okay. Not that it fucking matters, but you know. Let me have my moment in the dark. 12, 18, plus 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 30.
30 damage?
Yeah. So
okay,
double
what
to 60.
Type? What type? 60. Okay, what type is it?
Yeah. Radiant.
Okay, what does it look like?
I think I think they just kind of like grab on. Ooh, pulling my headphones out. I think they grab onto their holy symbol and just kind of like hold it out at them. And I think the magic kind of wraps around the raven skull and it comes out of its eyes in like two beams that sort of like swoosh swoosh. Yeah.
Okay, Rev throws her scythe out in front of her to like absorb some of the damage, but it like shoots past it and like pins her, like one in her like upper arm, one in her like lower abdomen, and she's pushed back by these beams of light. She grunts as you like push her back a little bit, and yeah, like this radiant like black light spills off of her body, right, and like leaves like it's smoking a little bit, right, like her raven feathers smoke off, you know, her right shoulder and then her left hip as she like holds this scythe in front of her. Sitlali, you're strong, stronger than the last time I saw you. I'll give you that, but you are not going to win this. Back down, we can talk.
What is there to talk about?
The path that you can forge for yourself. You don't have to copy someone else's.
I'm not copying someone else's, I'm taking what's mine.
You live in denial then. As did I. The best way to break yourself out of denial. And she like twirls the scythe and catches it again. May have to be through violence here. It is
You're fucking worst.
It is technically Gentle's turn.
Wonderful. I have a question. What can I use inspiration for?
Usually it's to re-roll something, but if you got a cool idea, I might let you burn inspiration to do it.
Advantage for this attack I'm about to do.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. Are you gonna attack Sitla? Who are you attacking, Rev?
So let me make sure I know exactly how many punches I'm throwing. 1, 2 plus flurry of blows plus hand of harm. That's 2 key points. I'm throwing 4 punches at Sitlali. I don't like it, but it needs to be done.
Make that attack roll first. Sitlali, what's your armor class?
18.
Okay, it's pretty high.
Yeah,
shield, baby.
That's 4 punches. Oh no. All right, let's see how these go. Oh, I don't like that I'm doing this.
Sharon's just watching this like, what the hell is happening?
Okay. And then one more. Oh, I also don't like that I'm doing this. Oh, so that's 3 punches that are going to connect. 19, 20, what's one of those? 26 and 23.
Is
Those
the
all
20
hit?
dirty or... Is the 20 dirty or natural?
Yeah, they're all natural. Sorry, they're all they're not natural. They're all dirty. My apologies. Okay. I'm not here anymore.
You're good.
You're
I'm just
good.
like, I have the crit canceling thing, so I'm like, is that a crit? Please tell me
Nope.
if it is, because I will cancel the fuck out of it.
Power of hands.
Okay.
All right, roll damage.
I also don't like that I'm doing this. I'm so sorry.
Are you?
It needs to be done. This is a cool mercy. Okay. Let me see. Let me get the math in real quick in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that is 21st plus another. That is 32 points of damage.
Would that bring you to 0?
No.
I hate that.
Single digits, but no.
Wow, you're buff. Okay.
Yes.
Gentle, what does it look like? Do you say anything as you attack your own friend?
I think I just like quietly mutter, "I'm so sorry," and then I throw like. I think the first one I'm like I'm tearing up a little, and it's a little like just off, and then like I get 3 good ones in, and the hand of harm is glowing that sickly green as it normally does. And when you're still standing, I'm like, I'm really sorry that I have to do this, but you're not being a good guy right now. I'm really sorry.
I think Synthali spits at you, and it's blood.
Yep.
It's on my mask.
Oof. We're gonna go to Jiran now.
Okay. Jiran, walks really quickly in front of Sitlali, grabs both of your hands in their hands, and is like kind of shaking you as he essentially just yells at you. Sitlali, it is not Revenant that you are angry at. Please, please, stop. Stop whatever it is that you're doing, and let's talk about this, okay? I know who you're really angry at here.
Who am I really angry at, Jiran?
It's me.
The entire planet doesn't fucking revolve around you. This has nothing to do with you.
Then prove it. Stop right now. And I think, Jiran, if I may, just for mechanical things, I'm going to hold my action so that next time Sitlali attacks, attacks Revenant, I am going to jump in front of that attack. I'm taking the blow for Rev.
Noted. Noted, my good Jiran. Noted. Okay. That's the end of the turn order. Mercy. Mercy, draws her greatsword, and holds it at the ready. Sort of steps up a little bit, holding out a hand, like she's getting between two, rabid wolves attacking each other. Sitlali, you, woman person, stop, just stop this, okay? Sitlali, this Revenant, this Rev person, maybe what they're saying is right. We can talk about this. This doesn't have to mean anything about anything. Maybe you're both paragons, gods, I don't know.
Are you doubting me?
No, Sitlali, I don't doubt who you are. I don't doubt that you're a person that I like, and you have value, and you're yeah. Sitlali, enough. And it's gonna be Rev's turn. Before we get there, though, I almost forgot. Sitlali, you accepted some help from Lonely that I forgot to make you roll for.
Oopsie doodle. Oh no.
I need you to roll a
tragic.
D100 for me.
D100. Okay. Cool. Tight.
Hundo values.
Yeah. Okay. That's not so bad. That's not terrible. Level 16.
But you're in single digits, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what happens. So
okay.
I think what it feels like for you as you make these pacts with Lonely is your friends can also see as you're all talking to each other and attacking each other and trying to talk Sitlali down. You all see Sitlali start to wither a little. Their hair seems to be going sort of limp, and it was already white, but there's something shriveled about the quality of the hair that looks different, before your very eyes, right? And Sitlali, I don't think you realize this, but Jiran and Genta would both be able to see that the black of your sclera starts bleeding out onto your face. You start weeping these black tears that you now realize are these glowing black tear-like lines going down your cheek, down your throat, right? These black veins start to coat your skin. And the more you talk, the more Lonely's voice is superimposed over your own, and the more and more Lonely seems to be taking over. And when you drop to 0, Lonely says to you, "Give yourself to me, and I'll let you keep fighting, Sitlali. It's just you and me until the end. These friends of yours, I told you, I warned you. They don't believe in you. They're abandoning you right now. All you need is me, your good friend, Lonely. You're muted.
Still figure out what that was.
You lied to me, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I've always known you were special. Sitlali, your soul holds so much light.
Fine. Keep me up.
Okay. And Sitlali, though you would drop to 10, you pop back up to 1. Okay, and we're gonna resolve the greater consequences of that once the scene's over. But you stay fighting, right? What does it look like as you're like barely clinging on to consciousness, right? In this like weird, magically induced, nebulous haze.
You know, that's a great question, Connie. Fuck. Who? What does it look like? You've stumped me. I don't know. Because I was going to do the tears thing if you weren't going to. So I think... Oh, no, I've got it. Okay, so, like... I think it... Okay, fuck it. I think that, like... Sort of, like, tears, like, start appearing in their armor. Sort of, and, like, it's the same... It's, like, clearly Lonely's magic. And it's, like, the pure resolve, like, clinging to them and, like, trying to keep them up. I don't know if they're bleeding from it. Maybe they are. If it is, it's probably black. But, like, yeah. But okay. I don't think Sitlali notices.
I like it. I think you're staggering a bit also. Like, you look real fucked up.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're, like, breathing, and, like, these, like, black veins have, like, sprouted on your face. And Rev steps forward, looks down at you holding the scythe, and says, "That's enough. I'm ending it here and now." And she brings her scythe down on you. Okay. And it's gonna pass through your body. Okay? Like, all of you see the scythe almost like it's, the blade is a ghost or made of mist. It passes through your body. But as it does, you feel this horrific sensation, Sitlali, of, like, something entering your soul. You don't feel the threads of the weave inside you get cut, but it's like a ghostly hand passes through the weave, inside you. And even worse than snapping them, this hand understands it. It, like, reads the strings of your soul and it scoops it out. And as the scythe cuts through the other side of your body, it's gonna scoop out a piece of your soul. And all of you see, reflected on the blade of the scythe, Lonely. You see a creature that seems trapped inside the blade now, that I can only really describe as, like, a small, rather shriveled thing, with this sunken-in face, with an expression of pure terror. And it's got these, like, multiple limbs and hands, and its, like, fingers are, like, long and spider-webbed, and its, like, its black mouth is, like, open in this perpetual, like, yawn or shriek of, like, some wordless, soundless emotion. And in this, like, moment suspended, it seems to be, like, pounding, like, trying to pound against the blade to get out, but it can't. And Rev holds the blade there for a second. And then a sheen wipes over the blade, and we see an image of your own face, Sitlali, but it is your true face. It's what you really, actually, genuinely look like. What does it look like?
I think it's the Sitlali we normally see, but with regular sclera instead of the black ones, and instead of the sarcastic fronting, they are sobbing. And they are small. And they are alone.
This is you. This is who you are. This is your true self, Sitlali. You need to stop hiding. You need to stop wearing whatever masks you're putting on over yourself, your face, your soul. Because once you start concealing who you are, and whoosh, another glimmer of light sweeps past the blade, and Lonely appears again, and it's like wordlessly screaming and pounding against the blade of like Rev's scythe. You let these things in, and they take advantage of you, and they try to tell you how to act, and they try to isolate you from people that try to help you, Sitlali. That's what this is about, isn't it? You feeling worthless, so you have to be special. To fill that hole inside yourself. But this thing isn't here to help you. It's here to keep you tethered to it.
Put it back.
Sitlali.
Put it back.
I'm sorry. And Rev grips the handle of the scythe with both hands, and poof, like a wave of like magical force sweeps out from Rev and ripples up the blade. And as it ripples across like the steel, Sitlali, you see Lonely like screaming and pounding as it begins to disintegrate, like trapped inside this blade as Rev is killing it. Rev is killing Lonely. For real. You know what I mean? Because we're severed from the after here. And you can see like bits of Lonely, like they like stop pounding, they like look at their like four limbs, like their long wrinkled fingers, and they see like this dust starting to peel off, and they like look so scared, and they like turn back to you for like help. And like with the last of their magic, you imagine, they like reach through this pocket dimension that Rev has trapped them in, and they speak into your head. Sitlali, no, help me, come with me, don't leave me. Do you join them? They're holding out a hand for you, like through the blade, and you get the sense that if you reached out, you could try to hop in that scythe with Lonely.
I think I stagger forward and I start to put out a hand.
Jirana's gonna step in between them.
Yep, that's when the Jiran hold action
What do you
takes
do?
place.
And I think Sitlali is going to look around at everyone. And I think their eyes land on Mercy last. And then book it for the portal.
Okay. You hear Mercy go, Sitlali! But you book it through the portal that Rev opened earlier, and you vanish from sight. And the last thing you hear in your head is Lonely's screams of pain and despair as they flake out of existence. No, Silali, please. And they're gone. Okay, friends. Rev stands there for a few beats, holding the scythe, right, as this thing that was inside Silali's soul disintegrates fully, and, like, no longer exists now. And she, like, opens up a hand, and the scythe just disappears in, like, a puff of, like, black smoke, as she, like, dismisses it, right? It seems to be bound to her in some way, like she can summon it at will. Please excuse me for a moment. I'll be right back. And she turns to follow Sitlali through the portal. Mercy also moves forward to follow, but Rev, with one foot over the threshold, holds up a hand and says, This isn't something you should see. Who the fuck are you? But Rev vanishes through the portal and the portal closes. Like, it just, like, cinches up and disappears. And I think we're gonna cut to the Weave Spun Nest. We're gonna see this scene first. Sitlali, you have a few moments of aloneness and quiet before Rev comes into the Weave Spun Nest with you. What are you doing?
I try to cast light.
Okay, you're at 1 HP. You're stumbling around. Yep. There's, like, some, like, votive candles, I think. The wax is so old that it's, like, become a part of the nest itself that's, like, dripping down the sides of it. So you can still see, right? You're not in complete starless darkness, but it's pretty dim here. You stagger through, your feet tripping over these, like, tangled roots at the bottom of the nest, right? Like the tall tops of the nest forming like a mottled crater above your head, almost like you were inside a volcano. But, like, the ridges of the wall of this quote-unquote volcano were like little fingers sticking out because of all the branches and the tangled roots that it's made out of. You hold out your hand, you thrust it out to cast light. Nothing's coming out. Nothing's sparking. Basically, from the moment that Lonely left your soul, it feels like the strings of the weave are starting to just disappear, like, from within you. You're starting to lose access to your magic. I think light flickers a little bit in your palm, and then it, like, goes out.
I think they just kind of collapse into a heap. At 1 HP, with no magic. And I think they just cry. For the first time in a very long time.
You cry. Does your body, like, subconsciously, like, transform, like, to grow smaller?
Yeah, the height, because they were in a tall face. They were about 6 foot, and I think they shrink down to about 5'2".
Does your armor shrink down with you too?
Yes.
Yeah, you shrink down and you're, like, sobbing and crying, and it's just you. You feel so utterly alone. Now that Lonely's gone, you don't have magic. I mean, what even makes you, or more than that, special, or worthwhile anymore? It's just you, and your own sadness, and your own loneliness. And you kneel there and you weep. You weep for what you lost. And I think that's when Rev enters. Like, you hear, like, a boot crunch over, like, some roots behind you. You hear, like, a noise as, like, the portal disappears. And you can, like, sense Rev's presence behind you. It doesn't feel malicious or anything like that. And you hear her voice after, like, a moment of quiet as you're just crying. Go. She wants to talk to you.
I think I pull a dagger from my boot. And I turn around without standing up. I just kind of scoot around. Who could possibly want to talk to me?
You know who, Sitlali.
I'm not hers anymore, and if I am, then I am a disgrace.
And you see Rev like take a deep breath in and takes like a abnormally long time to respond to you. It's almost like you recognize the look on her face because you can cast message, right? Or like you're familiar with telepathic magic. It's almost like she's talking with someone in her own head. She exhales, and when she opens her eyes, both of them are pure black. And the voice that comes out of Rev's mouth is not hers. I never sought to own you, Sitlali. I only ever sought for you to walk with me in my shadow.
And what use am I to you now?
Rev steps forward, holds out a hand, and very gently cups the side of your weeping face with it. And the Raven Queen says, "You are Sitlali, and that is enough."
But I can't serve you the same way that I always have. I can't. I did that for you. I took it in for you to keep you alive.
I am so grateful that you love me so much. We gods do little to deserve the love of our mortals. I fear, perhaps, you love us too much. But all I ever want from you, Sitlali, is to be the fullest version of yourself that you can be. That is worship enough.
And now I am nothing. Now there is nothing I can do for you. There's nothing I can't heal. I can't I don't. I am useless to you. To my friends. I am useless.
The first Paragon War was not fought and won alone. Though in the mythologies we now tell ourselves we lionize the Paragons. They are the heroes who are remembered. But there are heroes forgotten as well. The friends, the mentors, the brave adventurers, the servants, the parents, the mothers, the fathers, the children, the siblings of the Paragons, and everyone they ever loved were important as well. Without them, there is no Andake. Without you, there is no Andake either.
So what would you have of me now?
I would have you know that your worth does not hinge on what you can give other people. and the hand like travels down to your chin and like lifts it, trying to like lift you up onto your feet to like a standing position as well.
I think I'd stagger. Yeah.
Okay. Take of this. And Rev plucks a feather off of her feather cloak and holds it out to you. And Rev as the Raven Queen moves very differently as Rev. When the Raven Queen's in control, she moves like almost like she's gliding over the ground, and like every movement is fluid like water, or like a raven like preening or stretching its wings. So the Raven Queen is who hands you this feather. When the time is right, you'll know what to do with it.
And in the meantime?
Find who you are. Magic does not make you you. Magic simply reveals what you do with power. When the time is right, you'll know what to do.
And I think they just kind of stand there awkwardly, and they don't really know what to do with themselves.
The Raven Queen's hand moves from your cheek to the back of your head, and she pulls you in and kisses you on the forehead. Like plants a kiss there, and then draws back. And with the kiss, this like warm, dark sensation travels through you like a beautiful winter night of you just like sitting on a porch and looking out over the darkness. This isn't like a scary kind of darkness or a frazzled, terrified kind of darkness that Lonely harbored. This is a warm darkness. The blackness of void before the world was even created, the tenebrous folds of shadow that take everyone eventually in the end. And as this magic travels downward through your body, you're restored to full hit points, and you regain the max hit points that you were that you lost.
I don't deserve. I am not worthy of your. Thank you.
You're welcome. I look forward to seeing you in my court again someday, Sipali. I have missed you.
I'm sorry.
There is nothing to apologize for. You may have left me, but I am always home for you. And the Raven Queen pulls back from your forehead.
I just kind of. I'm like, I have like a knuckle white grip on this feather that I don't know where to put it. She's wearing a dress that's very skimpy and doesn't have pockets. Damn my aesthetic choices. So I just grip it as tight as I can, and I just look lost. And I don't know what else to do, so I take a knee in front of her.
I'll see you again soon, child. Remember, the only way out of darkness is through it. And then the next voice that comes is very different from the Raven Queen's. I'm never gonna get used to that. Stop kneeling. You don't have to. Don't worry, I didn't hear any of that.
I think they just kind of sit back on their ass. They don't get up. So Lolly's very tired emotionally.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just kind of look around and they're like, if we're not in the nest right now, you would be hearing every curse word I have ever learned in every single language.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yep, I haven't even been a paragon for an hour at this point, and I had to go and fight someone who... Never mind. I hope the two of you had a good talk.
Go do your duty.
Yeah. And you go do yours.
Yeah.
Rev holds out a hand. The scythe reappears in her grip, and she cuts another circle through the air. You should go. I'm expecting someone soon here in the nest. You don't have to worry about that. Go back to your friends.
I have a funny feeling they may not be my friends after this.
If Leaf taught me anything while she was still here, is that all of love is just rupture and repair. That's all it is. Rupture and repair. So go back and repair it.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Me too. She's in here now. She puts a hand over her heart. She'll always be here. And one day, when all of this is over, when Andake is whole again, somehow, I'll finally put her to rest. And I'll get the vengeance I need to do so. She nods at you and gestures at the portal back into the castle that she's cut open.
Lolly puts, once one foot is over the edge of it, she just goes fucking Raven speech under her breath and then is out.
Okay, as you step through, we're gonna cut back into the castle and rewind the clock a little bit and see what Jiran and Gentle and Mercy have been up to while Sitlali and Rev are gone. So this happens immediately after, like, Rev says, I'll be back. Steps through the portal and poof, the portal closes up. There's like a moment of shock in like the Chamber of Whispers as like the detritus of every bullshit thing that happened like starts to settle. But the first change that occurs is the blight that Lonely caused. As soon as like Rev wiped Lonely out of existence, basically, like the blight starts to reverse itself. Right? Like the growth starts to come back a little bit by bit, right? Like the blackened earth starts to turn green again, but it's a real slow process. Jiran, Gentle, what did the two of you do?
I just kind of crash to the floor and just sit there. And I just sort of like pet Bud. And I just start going through my medicine. I made a medicine check, and I got a 17, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. So how does your medicine work? Do you have like special equipment, or is it like a component pouch or something?
I have an herbalism kit. So I just I think a lot of the time what we see off camera is Gentle sort of researching, collecting various like roots, anything like that, and making a lot of homemade tinctures and concoctions just to help.
Yeah, I think as you like open up your herbalism kit, a lot of the plants in there have withered and died from the blight. They were not spared by Lonely. And even like the newer plants that you'd harvested from the swamp and from the Black Tongue and from your journey here in the court are like these little mushrooms and mosses are all like shriveled up. And for whatever reason, maybe it's because they're not connected to the other life here. They don't seem to be coming back.
I think I just look really, really sad at that. Some of these were from home. Just muttering softly to myself. And,
I think Jiran will also sit down next to Gentle and kind of help looking through the medicine pack or like the herbalism kit that you have, and maybe pick out some of the ones that were from home, like are from Moreau's, and just pick one out and say, I think I remember when you picked this one. Remember when I think it was on that one hunt, that one winter where for some reason the elk were just super hard to catch.
Yeah. I remember I had this idea of trying to like crawl under like the snow and like jump out and startle them because I don't get bothered by colds, and that didn't work super great. But it was worth a shot.
I mean, it was a good idea, honestly. We had run out of things to do at that point. Like, I was on all fours with fake antlers and the pelts on me and everything to pretend to be an elk. It was a whole thing, and nothing was working. So, I mean, honestly, the whole jumping out of the snow, it could have worked.
We had a lot of weird ideas to catch things. I'm beginning to think we were never that good at hunting. Actually, we're creative hunters. We're not effective hunters.
Okay, no, Gentle, no. You're looking at the best hunter in Moreau's, just so you know. Don't forget that.
I'm also a hunter, though.
Okay, so you're like second best.
One of us can breathe underwater and can outrun you, and it's me.
One of us sounds exactly like animals, though. Like perfect
You
mimicry.
sound like one when you can keep up with one. You need to set traps if I can just outrun one.
Yeah, but outrunning one doesn't really help you catch it, does it?
I mean, but you can just like sort of like grab it. It's like giving it a hug. I mean, I normally don't actually take them down, but still kind of cool to prove that I can do it.
And that's why you're the second best hunter in Moreau's.
You
don't take the animals down.
Well, if I had to, I could, but I just don't. I don't have to. You take care of the hard part. You've always been able to do the stuff that I'm not good at. It's nice.
Hey, I mean, to be fair, there's so much that you can do that I can't do. Like all of the healing stuff, I have absolutely no idea how to do it. I can cut a bitch very easily, but I genuinely do not know how to suture a wound or splint a broken arm or anything like that. So,
well, somebody, in order to prove they were the best hunter, kept getting hurt, and somebody needed to make sure they knew how to heal somebody before we got home and got in trouble for it.
Yeah, someone. Definitely someone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just couldn't be me.
I mean, who else was hanging out with me? Clearly, it's the only kid weird enough to hang out with Gentle.
Only like a little weird. Not that weird.
You were also a weird kid. You were just not as weird because I was the weird kid.
Gentle, are you saying people didn't like me?
No, of course people liked you. You're you. Like, I mean, you could have been a lot cooler if you didn't hang out with me.
No, I think I was cooler because I hung out with you. Like, look at that kid who can breathe underwater. Who can do that, right?
Not special.
I don't know. Not a lot of the other kids could do it. At least not well. They passed out a lot.
At some point I should tell you something, but I don't. Today's tiring. It's a lot.
Excuse me. Pardon the intrusion. And cutting in on the scene, on the cusp of Gentle saying that they were gonna reveal something, is Duke Root Sweetbreeze. The human man in his like late 20s, maybe early 30s, with like, if you forget what he looks like, because a lot has happened, dark brown skin, this long black hair that's braided like up and down, and these like deep red robes, broad and welcoming face with these full lips. He comes up to you, says, I couldn't help but notice you had a medicine pouch. Do you mind if I take a look at that?
Sure. Yeah, just be careful. Some of it's a little rare and trying to salvage what I have.
Of course, I understand. He takes it from you, opens it up, and makes like a sad noise. I'm so sorry to see that they were affected, and they don't seem to be coming back. Is that a winterberry from a rose? I love those.
I'm from Morose. My mask is, of course, still on. I need to make that clear.
Of course, yeah. Well, I just have a little bit of magic left, I think. There are rumors that they might flee from us any day now, but I think this is important. And he breathes on the herbal pouch. And as he breathes into it, like the herbs inside revive. And they like turn green again, like the berries turn bright again, they plump up instead of being shriveled, right? Like even like the rare, delicate grasses that like need to be like controlled at a very certain temperature, right? Like crinkle back to life, right? And he hands you your herbalism kit back to you, completely restored to its previous state. Here.
Why? Like, thank you, like, thank you, but why? Why me? You said you don't know you'll have any more magic?
Well, it's all about when and why we use our magic now, right? And this just didn't feel like the right time and place for those herbs to die.
Yeah, and they can help a lot of people still, so, and I mean, as we're still on the middle of our journey, so that would be great, a great time to keep them good for people who need them as we keep going. It's a good idea. Thank you.
Of course, you're very welcome. And I hope this isn't out of place or out of turn, but I was very touched by how you tried to intervene to stop your friend from hurting herself.
Yeah, that's why I was looking through my pouch. I know they'll be back in a little bit, and I know they're probably mad at me, and I understand why, but I wanted to make sure I could help fix them up after that fight. So I was hoping that, and now I can. So I'll be ready. So thank you for helping me help my friends.
Of course, you're very welcome.
I think I like lift the mask a little. I think I lift the mask like a little bit, just to like see my eyes. They're still a little puffy and red, but I guess I should say hi. I'm Gentle. Hi.
Hi, I'm Root. I'm a Duke here, and there are certain behaviors I should be undertaking, certain words I should and shouldn't be saying, but, well, these times call for special measures, I think. We don't do ourselves any favors by being closed off and kicking outsiders out from the court. I think that now is the time, more than ever, to stand stronger together. So, I, as Duke of the Court of Winter, welcome you, Gentle, and of course, you, Duran, and you, Mercy, and your friend Sitlali, if and when they do return, to the court. I'm so sorry you had to be under these circumstances, but I personally am very pleased to have you here and to have met you.
I think I lift the mask all the way, and I'm just like, I'm glad someone else wants to make more friends. Honestly, it's nice to have someone who else wants to focus on building things together instead of, I don't know. Thank you for just wanting to make friends.
Of course.
I'm so tired.
No, I completely understand. Not to, what's the phrase in common? Be a downer, perhaps? Not to be a downer, but I would like to share just a quick anecdote, if you will. When I was a child growing up in the court, there was a terrible rash of crocodile attacks in the swamp, and quite a few of the members of my village died. There was a particularly large crocodile until a monster hunter came by and took care of the problem for us. But in those terrifying 8 days, the attacks lasted a week, I saw people turn on each other. Dark, terrible, violent times reveal who we truly are. But I also saw people help each other, bandage each other's wounds, step up, sway the crowd toward logic and kindness. So, I just sort of see, I suppose, the wake of the cataclysm as the wake of that big crocodile attack. Some of us are going to turn on each other, we're going to lash out, we're going to beat each other down. But some of us are going to reach out and try to form bridges. And I hope you'll be one of those people.
Of course. And I think I forgot to introduce you to Bud. Yeah.
Arf! Oh, hello there, Bud. It's nice to meet you. Can I touch your head? Arf, arf! All right. And Root, ruffles, the fur between Bud's ears, and Buff goes, is, nuzzling into it. Do you mind if I try something on Bud?
Sure. My mask's completely off now, off of my head, because Bud trusts.
Yep, Bud trusts everyone, I think, is and as
Bud
Root
has emotional
ruffles.
Intelligence.
That's true. Bud does have emotional intelligence. Root does the same thing, takes a deep lungful and then breathes on Bud's face, and Bud is like,
oh, breath, that's a nice breath. You smell nice, big man, big tall man. Hello.
Huh? What?
Huh? What?
Bud, can you talk? What, Bud?
Bud? Talk? Me? Talk? I'm talking. What?
And Bud does a play stance and paws hit the ground, tail goes erect.
I'm talking? What's happening? Thoughts coming out? Sentience?
This is the greatest day of my life. Oh, this is the best and worst day ever. But you could talk. I can talk to you now.
I can talk.
You can talk back.
Talk back.
Bud,
Talk back to
can you say gentle?
Gentle. Is your name? Name a friend. Gentle. And you are Dron.
Can we all hear?
Yes. Yes. Whatever Root did seems to have granted Bud a degree of greater sentience and the ability to communicate with a language.
Oh my god.
God, where?
Hi, Bud. You can talk now?
Talk now? Talk now? Ow! Ow!
Oh my gosh, Bud, you have to tell me everything that you
Everything?
know. Everything.
Everything. Smells.
Not everything, Bud. Not everything.
So many
Bud.
smells. Tail.
And Bud starts chasing it.
Beautiful. I look at Root. How do I thank you for that? But I can talk now.
You're welcome. Perhaps you can thank me with a cup of tea? I don't know how much longer you're going to be staying here in the court, but
All right, what's your favorite flavor? I have a lot. Like
monkey tail green tea.
when?
How about in an hour? Just in
I
time
look
for
at
lunch.
Jiran and Mercy, like give a thumbs up, like this is cool, right?
Mercy has been talking with Rhyme this entire time. I think in like low, hushed tones. I don't think you overhear her conversation. But as you turn around, she turns as well and says, what? Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. It's one sec. And she goes back to talking with Rhyme. It seems to be something kind of serious, maybe? They seem to be conversing in low tones.
Not important. But good talk, by the way, Mercy.
What? Yeah, sure, that's great. She turns back to talk to Rhyme.
But you should say something to Mercy in a little bit. It'll be really, really funny. Yeah, absolutely. If Sitlali's not back by that time, if I might have to postpone it if they're not back.
Don't worry, we'll make sure that Gentle has time.
I'd appreciate that. I'd love to learn more about you and of course yourself. Like he turns politely to like also loop you in on this conversation, Sharon.
Don't worry, I've got plans for an hour. I don't think I'll be able to make it.
Of course. Well, the castle is vast and full of hidden secrets and little nooks and crannies of court culture and history, so I'm sure you'll have much to occupy yourself with. It's wonderful to meet the two of you.
It was nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
It's also wonderful to meet you, Bud. Just Gentle, don't let the power go to Bud's head, okay? It's just something I've noticed in various animals I've awakened. They start to hyper-focus on the fact that they can speak, and that sometimes plunges them into an existential crisis, so that's something to watch out for, just so you know.
I think I'm gonna let him have one day, and then we'll actually start doing lessons. I've been training him very diligently since I've had him.
Good. Perfect. Well, I'll see you in an hour. Jiran, Gentle, Bud. And Root walks off to go back to the other Dexai, who are all sort of like, look at, like, the teen and the kid are like looking, they're like leaned over. They've been like eavesdropping and listening in on this whole conversation. As Root goes back, like Bloom, the tiefling, goes, ooh, as like Root comes back and Root like punches Bloom in the elbow. And that's when a portal's cut open and Sitlali steps through muttering fuck under her breath. And behind Sitlali is Rev, who announces the arrival with, excuse me, I won't be coming back, Dexai. Later tonight, I'll be back, but there's something I have to attend to in a couple of hours. I'll see you all soon. And she, like, inclines her head and then closes up the portal and disappears behind it, leaving only Sitlali in her wake.
Roll a medicine check to check on you. 24.
Sitlali is totally fine. Like, whatever happened in the nest, like, is, like, physically is, like, fully, like, replenished in every sense of the word.
I get up and I'm just like, do you need any tea that will help?
I think Sitlali, like, turns to look for the portal. There's no portal. Fuck. And I think they go... I think they ignore Gentle and they go to the Dexai and they just, like, prostrate themselves wordlessly. Like, they don't say shit.
That's when Rhyme finally steps away from Mercy, and Mercy, like, stepped forward to get to you, but before she could, you've prostrated yourself. The Dexai all turn to, like, face you, right? Standing in, like, a semicircle around you. And Duchess Rhyme Starwing says, "Rise, child of the Raven Queen."
And then come up to one knee.
I take it that whatever transpired between yourself and the paragon of the Raven Queen is not for our ears to hear, which I understand. Now that you're back here in one piece, restored to your full health, I can only assume that the paragon and yourself have reached an agreeable conclusion to your disagreement. If it is agreeable to the paragon of the Raven Queen, then it is agreeable to the Dexai of the court. Rise fully.
And they do so very slowly. And the three of you would notice that they are 5'2" now. They still have the, like, courts look, but they are 5'2".
Mother, should we talk about court regulations regarding punishments and sacrilege? No, child. You must forgive, Spider. They don't mean it personally. They are well studied in the ways of the priests of the Raven Queen, as you yourself would know, Sitlali. No. Or rather, I don't personally think so. I am with Duke Root, Sweet Breeze. Now is a time for union, not discord. Yes, justice must be sought and delivered, but those that you have transgressed against, Sitlali, have clearly forgiven you, or at the very least bear no ill will against you, so it is not our place to seek out further vengeance, or quote-unquote justice for what you have done. The blight is being restored. The injuries have been cured. Fear nothing from us, child.
I just kind of stand and turn and try to walk out the door. Without talking to anyone, just gonna try and leave immediately.
Rhyme chimes in one last time as you turn to leave. Sitlali, I don't know why exactly you're traveling with Mercy. Hey, but I do know that it must be for good reason. However, if at any point in the 4 of your journey you discover that you're in need of respite, hospitality, wisdom, a place to stay, the court is always open.
They just sort of nod, bow awkwardly, and then try to book it out of the room.
Yeah, Mercy goes, it's good to catch up, Rhyme. It's good to meet all of you, Root, Bloom, Spider. Okay, yeah, we'll see you later. Bye, yeah. So Lolly, Jerron, what is it?
Hold on. I think like a light bulb goes off in Jerron's head as they remember what was happening before all of this mess. And they remember that the Dexai were in the middle of a sentence. The Paragons are not here to save Andake, they are here to And so Jerron is just going to kind of step forward gingerly and ask, Dexai, I know that we don't have the Paragon of the Raven Queen with us, but we are on our own quest to find a different Paragon. And the information that you were about to share with the Raven Queen's Paragon earlier could be useful to this other Paragon.
Yes, I informed Mercy in confidence, but I shall tell you all now. The Paragons are not back. They're not here to save all of Andake, protect her, reverse the effects of the cataclysm, and save the world. They are here to die for her. Only through the sacrifice of all 8 paragons of the 8, can Andake be fully restored to its former state. It is the greatest
You're kidding, right?
gift. I'm not. It is a blessing and a gift to die in service of the Raven Queen. And we know that the paragon of her will do us proud. Yep, which is what I wanted to tell Sitlali about in, private. Surprise! Good thing you're not actually the paragon of the Raven Queen, right?
No, I think you have it wrong. That's not what the stories say.
The omens were clear.
Who told you this information?
Is that one raising their hand? You may speak freely, child.
I feel better doing that. Is it a bit more of an interpretive work? Maybe sacrifice means like to begin something anew.
To give up something else that is not something important to them.
Yes,
that's not
their
their
lives.
Is it metaphor though?
Though the omens and the portents of the Raven Queen are often metaphorical, this one is quite clear. I received it myself. And as Sitlali would know, before Leaf mentored her, I mentored Leaf. I know this omen well. I interpreted it myself. The paragons are meant to die in service of Andake. It is a beautiful way to die.
I think Geron's breathing starts to get really heavy at this point, and they... Nope. No. That can't be right. Omens can be changed. The future can be rewritten.
Child, just as destiny has not chosen Sitlali to be the paragon of the Raven Queen, but rather put them on their own path of self-discovery, this omen cannot be undone. It is the way. There is no other path forward out of the abyss.
No, there has to be.
The only
There
way
definitely is.
out of darkness is through it, child.
Yeah, through it, and then you come out the other side, where there's light again, right? Right?
For all of Andake, yes. For the paragons. They will be in the light of their gods. Why do the 3 of you look so startled? It is not a bad thing. It is not a scary thing. It is not a terrible thing. It is a beautiful, glorious thing.
One of our friends is a paragon.
I was not aware that yourselves and Miss Revenant were so close.
No, our friend Oka.
Oka's not a paragon. We have it wrong.
Yep, that's, Rhyme, that's not anything. We don't have to talk about this stuff. Thank you for the information, Rhyme. Hound, should we, convene outside and maybe talk a bit?
I have to be back here in an hour.
That's fine. I just want to do a quick parlay with the 3 of you, if that's all right. We'll be back in an hour or whatever amount of time. Hounds?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll be back. Hold an hour. And Mercy gestures for the 3 of you to follow her. She strides, she's like power walking the fuck, like out of this chamber of whispers. She takes you all down the stairs. She doesn't say anything. She's walking fast, like down, 100 feet worth of like a flight of stairs, right? Like down, all the way to the bottom floor, wordless. At this point, I think all three of you are like huffing it. You're sweating a bit. You're like, it's nice, honestly, to like work out some of this anxiety through like physical exertion, not gonna lie. And she exits the castle. The doors fling open and poof, like the windy bluff, right, of the Sigourney Sea 1,000 feet below, like poof, like winds rush up and like buffet your hair and your clothes. She leads you down like the big front steps, around the back of the castle, actually, as like the sunless light is like shining grayly through these thick blankets of clouds above your heads, to the edge, kind of like to the edge of the cliff, at the back of the castle, where you definitely will have privacy from like prying eyes and ears of various servants and even like spy ravens, perhaps inside the court. And she pauses at the very edge of the bluff, right, the edge of this cliff. She starts pacing and stops and turns to face the three of you and Bud. So, Rhyme is pretty confident about her omens, and knowing Rhyme, her omens are usually correct, but it doesn't have to mean anything. Duran's right, Oka might not even be the Paragon of Sen, like I've been saying this entire time.
It's someone they're traveling with, it's not them. They must have met Sen's Paragon on the way.
It has to be.
Wherever
There's
they
no other
went.
way.
It's not
that
Oka.
Bird man, that dirty bird man. Maybe that's the Paragon of Sen. Or that elf woman. She looks like some sort of huckster. Maybe she's the Paragon of Sen. Yes, Gentle, you can put your hand down.
You said usually. Has she been wrong before?
She hasn't been wrong, per se. It's more like she hasn't foreseen big things that happened. She didn't foresee everything happening with Rev and Leaf. She didn't foresee that. No one foresaw that. Not even Leaf. She didn't even see her own demise.
So
she didn't foresee the cataclysm.
So there's a chance.
She can't foresee the Paragons coming back to life. That
maybe
or them not dying.
Exactly. There might be some sort of loophole there, but this doesn't even matter because it's not our friend. It's not Oka.
It's not Oka.
It can't be Oka.
Is, but no,
it's not.
No,
Gentle. It's not.
No, Geron. You know I love you. You know I love you. It's Oka, and that's okay. That's step one. But now the next step is we move forward with the idea of how do we save Oka. And
we don't need to save Oka. Stop saying that. We don't need to save Oka.
I'm with Duran here.
They're my friend.
They don't need to because they're not the Paragon. They are fine. And
it's whoever they're in their party. Exactly. We have to find them to tell them this, right?
Why don't we save a friend of Oka's then?
We will. We'll do that.
Great.
But we're not saving Oka because they don't need saving.
What's the difference?
The difference is it's not Oka, it's Oka's friend.
That's still a person to save. That's still a Paragon to save.
Fine. Then we'll save Oka's friend. But we're all agreed it's not Oka. Lolly, you've been quiet. What do you think?
I don't think it matters what I think.
Lolly. Look, I don't know what happened in the weave-spun nest, but I saw the thing that was taken out of you, and it was for the best. I think Duran and Gentle would agree with me. It was the right thing to have happened. And fuck it. This is a new chapter, right? No more of this bullshit bravado, and look how far that's gotten us. How far that's gotten me. Paragons are real. They're here, they're in danger, and they're the only thing that can save Andake, right? And one of them is with our friend. And I can't... I can't do this alone. I need the three of you here. I feel so fucking stupid saying this, but it's true. I mean, talking with Rhyme and Selim and Unme and Jikyat and even Ravi, what she said was cruel, but it was true. I can't keep just collecting broken shards of people and breaking them even further to make myself feel better, because where's that gonna end up? And Mercy says that last bit kind of at Sitlali, like looks at you. But she holds out like a hand for you, Sitlali. Sitlali, I need to amend what I said earlier. It's not a like. That's not the only way I feel about you. And she's like reaching out a hand for you. Do you take it?
Mercy, I'm useless now.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I can't do magic anymore.
Neither can Jiran. Sorry, Jiran.
Jiran gives Mercy a look.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I can't do magic either. Maybe a past...
Yeah, but you have other skills.
So do you. You're not defined by your magic. Maybe a me before I started to get to know you better would have thought that. But I don't think that anymore. I don't. Will all of you join me on this? This sounds so fucking corny, and I hate myself for saying this, but new chapter of the Hounds, I guess.
I take Mercy's hand.
Gentle?
I'd like to say I'm glad that you're back, Sitlali, and I'm sorry, but also I'm glad that you're you. That's all. You're my friend because you're you.
I think Jiran puts like an arm around Sitlali's shoulders. We're all each other have, right?
I think Sitlali flinches at that.
I think like if Sitlali flinches and Jiran's gonna like hesitate and like maybe pull back a little and like just put a hand on their shoulder instead.
If I may, I think these interactions occur, and then that's when like Sitlali reaches out to like hold Mercy's hand. But as you're reaching out to Mercy, and all of you, like, this is the first time you've seen Mercy this vulnerable, I think, in a lot of ways. But like the appearance of Rev and the revelation that like Paragons are meant to die seems to have like shaken her really deeply. Also seeing Rhyme again, like there's a lot happening for Mercy, and like she's in this state of like flux and change, and it's like a bunch of like built up, pent up emotions from all of the previous exes and all of the previous things that have happened that are seeming to coalesce into almost like a breakthrough moment for her. Her face opens up. She reaches out for Sitlali. Great. Then there's something I need to tell you about. As shooting up 1,000 feet from the ocean below, a fucking arrow pierces through her right shoulder. What the? And then poof, another arrow pierces through her other shoulder, and she stumbles backward, and you all see that the blood-slicked tips of the arrows seem to be poisoned. Like they're like also drooping with this like black venom. And Mercy at the cliff's edge tips over.
And grab her if nobody else will?
I'm gonna jump in for this. I'm built for this.
All right, go.
We're gonna end the session there. We're gonna end the session there on a cliffhanger. if you will.
I hate you, Connie.
Oh, but you love butts, don't you?
She didn't even get to hear Bud talk.
She didn't. She fucking didn't. Okay, and that is the end of episode 4 of the Duchess of the Hounds of Mercy versus Andake. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this roller coaster ride of a motherfucking episode. We will be back next Tuesday with episode 5 of the Hounds of Mercy. But until then, tune in to Transplanar RPG's main campaign this coming Saturday for episode 4 of Arc 4 of our main campaign. We love you all so much. I have been GM Connie, pronouns they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter, Itch, Patreon, etc. at by Connie Chong. Gotta pass along introductions to Dare.
Hi, I'm Dare. If you love to see me suffer through pain, that only happens here. If you want to see me experience joy, check me out on Twitter and TikTok at NBDare. That is ENBYDARE. I happen to do a lot of things, namely performing currently. I do have a couple of games, like one where the sun dies, called When the Sun Dies. You can find it at nbdare.itch.io/sunset. But mostly I've been really excited about a couple of performances, including I finally get to play in a mass campaign. So check out on Saturdays RF Chaos, twitch.tv/RF Chaos, and watch me play a disaster trans girl who's a legacy, because it's really fun for me to be an emotionally stunted hero. That has nothing to say about anything. So I'm just gonna throw it to Humna.
All right. Hello, folks. My name is Humna. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer. You can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all of the different projects I'm a part of. And yesterday was supposed to be the finale of the Cursed Captains of Cthulhu stream on the Follow Black Cats channel, but that got postponed, so it's actually going to be on this upcoming Monday. So if you're available, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, you should come watch. I play someone who's trying very hard not to let Cthulhu get released versus another player who is trying very hard to release Cthulhu. So we've got this little rivalry going, and who knows who's going to win. If you want to find out, come watch. I also have a Invisible Sun stream coming up that will be on Sunday evenings, starting at the end of the month. If you're interested in that, C from the main Transplanar cast is also in it. So if you're interested in seeing both of us more, you should definitely come watch that. But yeah, I will pass on introductions to Quinn.
Hello, I'm Quinn. I use they, she pronouns, and I am a fucking disaster. At Quintastic_ on Twitter. That's where you find all the things that I am doing. There are multitudes. Back to you, Connie.
You got it. We're now going to raid Critical Bard, who's playing Fortnite. They're great. They're a TTRPG and just variety streamer. They're fantastic. Even if you can't stick around, say hi in the raid, give them a follow, just say hello, and then you can pop out of the chat. They're just starting up, so they're on the starting soon screen right now. Use the !raid command for our raid message, but the emojis will not work in Critical Bard's channel, so use different emojis. I'm so sorry, I need to fix that command. With that, we're going to start the raid. We love you all so much. See you Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tune in for the next installment of the Hounds of Mercy, and Shpeesh.